What's up? Ghost Fictions is here and we're back again. This is a story where Issei lost everything and teleported to One Piece universe. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Also, this is a translate version, you may find some mistakes, specifically in the character's gender. Issei of course is a male, but this time we gonna see some changes in One Piece genders. Well, with that out, let's get into the story now, let's get into part 2. Shortly after. It was midnight and on a cliff on Konomi Island lay a tomb. The grave of someone who was loved by many. Issei, who went out for a walk, found that place while going up a dirt road. Issei looked at the small makeshift grave with a few things there. Issei sat on the ground and was lost in his memories because in the end he knows that there lies the mother of Nezuko and Nami, remembering his parents that he lost not long ago. He began to feel sad, he missed them a lot, no, too much. Growing up with two people who have given you unconditional love despite you being something they didn't want and then suddenly losing them is hard. Losing his parents, in all honesty, hurt him more than losing the girls because his parents have been there with him since he was born and were always there for him no matter what. It's sad, so much so that she couldn't help but cry with those memories and even more so after having seen her parents die before her eyes without being able to do anything to stop it. Drake remained silent, he let him release that pain that still eats away at him. It is not easy to forget your loved ones, and even more so when they were always there your entire life. It was a long hour where he cried in silence, hoping that at least his parents and other loved ones were resting in peace. I just look at the moon that was already looking for a way to hide and thought with total seriousness. I swear that if I see you again, I will make you go through the worst of hell. Thought Issei remembering the true evil outer god from ExE universe. Eva and his troops. Issei still remembered everything. His troops, they easily killed all of DXD gods. Hell, even Great Red, the strongest being in Draconic 2's universe, was killed by just one attack from Eva. Eva was a true monster. After all, he destroyed countless of universes without any mercy. Issei clenched his fist. When they meet again it won't be pleasant for outer god. But without knowing it, someone saw his plane in the distance. The next morning. It was another day on Konomi Island. Issei was sitting on a stone on the shore of the beach, he had helped move the going Miri from where it was. I looked at the horizon for no reason, I just sat there watching the sea. Good morning. Nezuko greeted, arriving at Issei's side. Issei turned to look at her and smiled slightly. Hello, good morning, how did you wake up? Asked Issei. She went and sat beside him on the stone, for it was large. Well, thank goodness someone carried me to my bed when I passed out after drinking too much. Said Nezuko lightly hitting Issei with her elbow. I'm surprised you didn't do anything. She said jokingly. I'm not that kind of person. Said Issei looking at the sea. I know, you're a good person. She said smiling. They were silent for a few seconds until she spoke again. Are you leaving today? Nezuko asked. I don't know, Luna is the one who will decide that. Said Issei. I see. Nezuko said, and they fell silent again. Issei didn't say anything, but he looked at her out of the corner of his eye. Is something wrong? Issei asked. Well, the truth is, I feel a great debt to you, ignoring that helping the entire island by killing Arlong, for me and I know for Nami too, is something that meant a lot, because in the end, he took our mother away from us in front of our eyes and forced Nami to work for him. Said Nezuko. I already told you, it's payment for the kindness you showed towards me. Said Issei. But I still feel like it's not enough for everything you did for us. Nezuko said, looking at him. Issei didn't say anything for a while until after giving a long sigh, he spoke again. I also lost my parents, no, everyone I knew. Said Issei with a melancholic and dejected face. Nezuko's eyes snapped open. It was about 3 months ago, it was worse than hell itself, many dead bodies, my parents and acquaintances included, I couldn't do anything to save them, nor could I hurt the one who took them from me. Said Issei telling everything for the first time, beginning to shed tears and his voice beginning to fail. Too felt useless he was desperatus out of Astateti lost everything that day. He said, unable to avoid crying in front of the incredulous Nezuko. Nezuko was shocked, she didn't think he had lost everything, he looked like someone calm, and apparently appearances can be deceiving. That's why I imagine the pain that you, Nami or the people felt when faced with someone like Arlong who only came to ruin their peaceful days, knowing the feeling of loss that you had, and the pain of not having been able to do anything to prevent it. Said Issei, lowering his gaze as he wiped away his tears. Nezuko just hugged him, she felt bad for him, even with the pain of loss he shows a smile and a calm appearance, helping people he doesn't even know. I'm so sorry about what happened to you. It must have been difficult. Nezuko said, not finding the right words to try to comfort Issei. It still is, there isn't a day or night that I don't remember what happened, you know something. I've been hating myself for being weak. There were times when I tried to commit suicide. I'm still depressed. And I usually lose myself in those beautiful moments that I shared with my loved ones, wanting to return to those days of peace and enjoy with them. But I know that won't be possible, because they're gone now, and it's just me and my friend living day to day again," said Issei with his head down. Najiko didn't know what to say. She at least had her sister, but he was alone despite having that strange being in that red glove. She knew it. Issei was broken even though he didn't show it. "You are strong," Najiko said, referring to the fact that he keeps going despite all his pain. "No, if I were, I would have avoided all that," Issei said, even though he knows what he means. The two of them stayed like that for a while, with Najiko hugging Issei trying to comfort him. Issei just let her do that. He was grateful for that. At that, Issei's stomach growled. "Wow, looks like someone is hungry," Najiko said, wanting to get rid of the gloomy atmosphere that surrounded them. "Haha, sorry, I always wake up ravenously hungry," Issei said, calming down. They both separated, and Issei looked at Najiko with a smile. "Thank you," Issei said. "You're welcome, besides, you're very huggable," Najiko said with a smile. "Does that mean you would hug me again?" Issei asked. I don't know, only if you behave," Najiko said, winking. "Oh wow, with rewards like that, wars can start," Issei said, amused. "Idiot," Najiko said, smiling, glad that Issei had left that sad face. "Let's go to my house, I'll make you breakfast," she said, standing up. "It seems like we are married," Issei said jokingly. "Well, that wouldn't be bad, the wife of the island's hero, I like the sound of that," said Najiko, smiling. Issei didn't say anything, he just blushed, and that made Najiko smile even more. "Wow, you blushed, how cute," she said, watching Issei blush. Drake was secretly happy that his friend was starting to open up to others, at least that way he could be happy even a little. Shortly after, Issei and Najiko went down that hill. Arriving at the city, they saw how people began to clean up the remains of the party, others were having breakfast quietly, and a few children were playing. All with a smile on their faces, knowing that the evil that tormented them so much is no longer there. Issei felt happy seeing that, as it was clear the peace and relief that people felt at not having Arlong and his men there to harm them. Obviously his presence was noticeable, as everyone greeted him, children invited him to play, and some women were flirtatious, wanting to give him a prize. But Issei politely rejected them, but thanked them for their attention to him. Although of course, he couldn't refuse the food they offered him, because in the end a good meal is not rejected. Najiko wasn't bothered by that, because in the end she knows that Issei's appetite is enormous. "Oh, but they are Issei and Nikki and Najiko and Eki," said Johnny, who was sitting next to Yusaku having breakfast. "Good morning, Issei, Najiko. Regards, Yusaku." "Good morning, guys, are you okay?" Issei asked, as they had received a beating from the fishmen before. "Yes, we are fine, nothing to worry about, the city doctor has already seen us," Johnny said calmly. "That's good. By the way, what did they do with the corpse?" Issei asked, referring to Arlong. "Oh, we kept it on ice, we have to hand it over if we want the reward," said Yusaku. "It's good, with what they give for that guy the townspeople will at least be able to do something, and of course, you too," said Issei, as he told them to give Arlong's body to the sailors to collect the reward and to give a large part to the townspeople and to divide the rest among themselves. The two nodded, while Najiko watched that with a small smile. "By the way, Sandy Aneki has been looking for you like crazy. I think Nami Aneki took her home because she thought you would be there," said Yusaku. "Really? Then we'll have to go there immediately," Issei said. The brown-haired man and the blue-haired woman left the bounty hunter duo to have breakfast in peace, going straight to the sister's house. They both arrived and entered, being greeted by a more than exquisite aroma. "Oh, they're back, come on, Sandy is preparing breakfast," said Nami from the kitchen. "Ice-kun is back already? Come Ice-kun, I'll prepare you the best breakfast ever," said Sandy, peeking out from the kitchen. Issei and Najiko went and took a place at the table, and Issei watched as the blonde moved masterfully in the kitchen, making her level clear. "Here it is, I hope you enjoy it," said Sandy, passing Issei his breakfast, which consisted of a tower of pancakes with honey and butter, as well as a cup of freshly made coffee. "And this is for you," said the blonde, passing the breakfast to the girls as normal, being the same, but with fewer pancakes and with tangerine juice instead of coffee at Nami's request. Issei looked at his breakfast and smiled slightly. "Thanks, Sandy-chan," said Issei, leaving the blonde in shock because of the suffix chan. Sandy smiled hugely at that. "Whenever you want ice Kyan," said the blonde, happy with how she was told. "Stop hanging around and eat with us," Nami said, sighing at the blonde. Sandy went and took her place, having breakfast with them. But since there were not enough people. "Sandy, I'm hungry," was Luna's scream that was heard from outside. At that point, the aforementioned woman opened the door and was guided by the smell of pancakes. "Pancakes? Luna said, sitting on Issei's lap without any shame to start devouring his pancakes. Hey, that's ice-kun's, wait until I give you yours. Sandy shouted indignantly. Not bad at all. Zora commented, taking a piece of pancake from Issei's plate. I better take some from here. Said Usopp, seeing what was going to happen. Yes, it is better. Said Jin, also taking the jug of coffee and going to the living room of the house. Let Ice-kun eat in peace. Sandy shouted, annoyed at how they were taking Issei's food away. Yeah, calm down, I know you can give me more pancakes. Issei said calmly, because in the end food was the least of his worries. But, Sandy wanted to reply, but Issei didn't let her. Come on Sandy-chan, leave them, she's hungry. Said Issei, dismissing the problem. Sigh, if you say so, it's okay. Said Sandy, pouting. While Zora was serving herself pancakes, Luna was already finishing what was supposed to be Issei's breakfast, of course, without drinking the coffee and without getting off of his lap. The brown-haired boy sat Luna on the chair and stood up. When he was going to turn something around, it hit his cheek. He saw that it was Alvida who was giving him pancakes. Come on, say ah. Said Alvida, wanting to feed him. No, friend, I'll feed Ice-kun. Said Sandy, annoyed and going with her pancakes to the brown-haired boy. Come on Ice-kun, say ah. She said, offering her own. Zora just rolled her eyes at that, Nami did too, while Najiko laughed in amusement. You are so popular. Commented the blue-haired girl. Issei just sighed, but at the same time he smiled. I want more. And as always Luna kills the mood. There, I'll give you more. Said Issei after eating what both girls gave him while he heads where Sandy left a large stack of pancakes. A somewhat hectic morning. Drake smiled happily for his friend. Little by little you will recover everything, partner, you'll see. Thought the dragon. And so the morning continued for the group of new pirates. Time after. Kakeashi Village Bay. Then they're leaving now. Said Najiko, sitting next to Issei on some boxes that were there in the small bay of the village. Yes, Luna doesn't want to give you trouble. I know that when I killed that navy captain, I put this island and you at risk. Said Issei, remembering how he killed the rat face. Don't remind me, it was too graphic. Najiko said, laughing uncomfortably. Yes, I'm sorry, but people like him bother me. Said Issei, sighing. But don't worry, I'll come from time to time, you know, I can fly and stuff. He said, looking at her. Oh, are you coming to see me? Najiko asked, hoping to embarrass him. Is that bad? I like you a lot. Issei said with total sincerity. Najiko didn't expect that and blushed a little. Well, I'll have good food waiting for you. Najiko said, smiling. Hey Ice, it's about time. Shouted Luna, sitting on the head of the Going Merry. Well, I guess I'll see you later then. Issei said, standing up. Yes. Said Najiko. Issei saw her and she saw him. I know I'm already boring. Be with this, but thanks for helping me, Najiko. Issei said with a smile. She looked at him and sighed. What the hell? Sandy and Alvida shouted. Issei was stunned. What happened? Well, Najiko grabbed Issei by the collar of his shirt and pulled him into a kiss. After coming out of his short shock, although he didn't want to, he let himself be carried away, hugging Najiko around the waist and deepening the kiss. Sandy was getting slapped and Alvida wanted to use her club to hit the blue-haired girl. You sure don't waste your time. Zora commented, seeing that bored. What are you doing? Luna asked, confused. Don't you know? Jin asked, surprised. No, what are you doing? Luna asked innocently. You see, that's what happens when two people love each other a lot, it's a sign of affection. Or at least that's what my mom told me. Said Usopp, remembering the things his mother taught him so he wouldn't be a stupid boy with girls. It's a kiss, fuck, it's called a kiss. Said Zora without being tactful. And it is good? Asked Luna. It depends on the person, if you like them it's fine, if not just hit the idiot and that's it. Said Zora. I think that last part is unnecessary. Said Jin with a drop of sweat running down the back of his neck. Issei and Najiko separated, although they were still together, as she had Issei hugged by the neck and he was holding her by her hips. Wow. Issei said, speechless. What you missed yesterday? Najiko said flirtatiously. Ha, nice try. Issei said, smiling slightly. Now you have more reasons to come see me. Najiko said, smiling. And I will. Said Issei. Break up, damn it. Sandy shouted angrily. They both looked at everyone, with Jin giving them a thumbs up. They both separated. So if you're popular, what a rascal. Najiko said, looking at Issei. Ha, give me a break. Said the brown-haired boy. After that they prepared everything to raise anchor. Issei was on his ship, looking at Alvida, who looked obviously upset. Yep, you always attract problematic women. Said Drake. I only ignore Issei. Issei, with everything ready, look at Luna's ship. And Nami? Issei asked, since she was supposed to go with them as Luna's navigator. I don't know, it's already late. Said Usopp. Are you sure you're coming with us? Zora asked. She said yes, so she'll come. I guess. Jin said. Sandy just looked at Issei, upset, but more than anything because she couldn't be the one he kissed. Luna was impatient, so much so that she looked for Nami with her eyes. In that way anchor. It was Nami who was running from afar. Everyone was surprised, but Issei and the others started moving their ships. The brown-haired boy started his boat's engine and began to back away, while Luna and her group raised the anchor of the Going Miri to set sail. Everyone there was shocked because they wanted to say goodbye to Nami properly, since she left them the 100 million berries she had collected to buy the island from Arlong. Nami moved between everyone, then made a great leap, landing on the deck of the ship. She said goodbye after stealing everyone's wallets there. Issei looked at Najiko and vice versa, as they smiled at each other. He could see her move her lips saying see you later, I'll see you soon, making Issei happy. Sure, see you later. The brown-haired boy whispered. And so the Mugiwara gang left Konomi Island, heading for the Grand Line. But not before making a single stop. The most popular island in that sea, the city of the beginning and the end. Lobetown. Place where the legendary pirate king Gold D. Roger was executed and gave the message that began the age of piracy. Issei left the command room and went to the deck. He saw Alvida lying in one of the chairs there sunbathing. She saw him, but looked away. He sighed and looked at the sky. Well, a new adventure begins. Thought Issei. Days later. The two ships continued their course towards the next island, and with Nami's help everything went well. Issei has been doing something in particular during this time. Okay, 100 more repetitions. Said the brown-haired boy, seeing Jin, Usopp, Alvida, Zora and Luna lying on the ground. I'm gonna die. Said Usopp, feeling his muscles burn. No, if you want to be a brave warrior of the sea you must have a very strong body, even if you are only the sniper of the group. Said Issei. Well, I just let them rest for a day to start with the training I'm talking about. He is very hard on them. Nami commented, sitting in a chair watching everything. Zora, who had the most experience with training, didn't complain and began to do another 100 push-ups, obviously with special weights that Issei had, which were born thanks to his fanaticism with Dragon Ball, remembering the weighted clothing that Goku wore to train. I'm hungry. Said Luna, giving up. Usopp was the next to fall dead. I can't take it anymore. Damn it. Jin fell after doing 30 push-ups. Ugh, damn it. Alvida complained, falling after doing 25 push-ups. Zora was the only one who continued and eventually managed to finish the push-ups. Well, we're done for today. Issei said calmly, as he understood that not everyone would endure the training. Here Ice-kun. Sandy said with a smile as she offered him a glass of ice-cold soda. Thank you. Issei said, taking the drink. He managed to be okay with Alvida and Sandy, because he knew they were jealous, one with more reason than the other, because Alvida always expected something with him, and she didn't achieve anything, and Najiko did, that bothered her, and she talked to Issei about it. The brown-haired boy accepted that he had treated her somewhat badly, but he excused himself, remembering how they met, and she understood that she also did wrong, since now they treat each other better. With Sandy it was simpler, as a few nice words and a kiss on the cheek cheered the blonde up, something simple, but that surprised him. Sandy was in charge of serving everyone water or soda, although of course, Zora got ice-cold beer and Luna got food. At that moment a kind of pelican with a hat and a bag arrived, this being the newspaper delivery man. Oh, the newspaper has arrived. Said Nami, taking the newspaper from the bag. Come on Issei, it's your turn this time. She said, looking at the brunette who sighed. You said the same thing yesterday. Said the brown-haired boy, taking out a 500 berry coin. Yes, whatever you say. Nami said, dismissing that. TCH, stingy. Issei said, approaching the delivery man. I heard you. Nami said, frowning. Well, that was the goal. Issei said, rolling his eyes. How much is it? He asked, and the pelican showed a sign that said 500 berries. Did it go up again? Damn this inflation, whatever, here. He said, putting the coin in a wallet that the pelican was carrying on the side. The bird took flight after receiving its payment. Nami was sitting on a beach chair under an umbrella. She walked over to it to look at the newspaper. What's new? Issei asked behind Nami. Nothing new, Navy stuff, robberies, pirates from other seas. Wait. Said Nami, turning the page and being surprised. It can't be. She said. Wow. Said Issei. What's wrong? Sandy asked, approaching. Well. Luna and I already have a bounty on our heads. Said Issei, surprising everyone. What? Everyone, except Zora, shouted. Look. Issei said, taking two posters that came with the newspaper. Let me see. Luna said excitedly, taking her sign. Minus 30 million, that's more than Arlong. Jin said, impressed. Minus 25 million, good start. Zora commented, seeing Issei's reward. Haha, now we are famous. Said Luna, smiling. I'm surprised by how you take something so serious with humor. Jin commented. Do you know they're going to come and kill us now? Nami said worriedly. Hi, the navy and powerful bounty hunters will come for our lives. Said Usopp, very panicked. What's wrong? Alvida asked, arriving after taking a shower. She was dressed in lighter clothes that fit her well. Nothing important, just that now I have a reward. Said Issei, showing his poster. Nothing important. Nami and Usopp shouted, watching as Issei took that. Minus 25 million, gosh, and I only have 3 million, they really recognize your strength. Alvida commented, looking at Issei. And they don't even know how much you're really worth. Said Drake, making Issei frown. Whatever, when we get to the Grand Line those rewards will be nothing, we will be simple ants before monsters. Said Issei, remembering several rewards he saw in that place. He's right, not even Don Krieg's galleons were enough in that place, there are real monsters like Mihawk there. Jin said, seriously, remembering his short time in that place. While everyone was talking about Issei and Luna's rewards, only Zora saw something in the distance. Hey, there's an island over there. She commented when everyone stopped talking. Huh? Did you see an island? Nami said, getting up from her spot to see. Yes, there is an island there, that means we are close to the Grand Line. Said Zora. Lode Town, the city of the beginning and the end. Issei said, remembering when he arrived there months ago. Where the Pirate King Gol Roger was born and died. Said Nami. The city where the Pirate King was executed. Said Luna, looking at the city with great shock. Well, we'll stop here to get supplies. Issei said, walking to his ship. Alvida followed him. Shortly after. Lode Town. Well, I imagine everyone has things to do. Said Nami, looking at everyone. I'll go see the execution platform. Said Luna, smiling excitedly. I need to get more materials to make my equipment. Usopp said. Here I will find very good quality ingredients. Said Sandy, smiling. I'll see if I can find better quality tonfas than these. Said Jin, looking at his weapons that were worn out. I have to go buy something too. Said Zora. If you want, I can lend you some money with a 300% interest rate. Said Nami, smiling greedily. Thanks but no thanks. Said Jin, looking at Nami with a flat face. Zora just ignored her. Well, honestly nothing here catches my attention, but I'll go take a walk around there. Said Issei, although Alvida didn't say anything but would accompany him, taking advantage of the fact that everyone would go shopping. Well, here are 100,000 berries each, spend them carefully because I won't give you more. Said Nami, passing bags with the exact amount to each one, but when she was going to give them to Issei and Alvida. No, I have my own money. Issei said. Really? Okay, more for me. Said Nami without paying attention. Well, go do your things and we'll meet here in 4 hours. Said the orange-haired girl to everyone. So everyone was leaving, but Issei stopped Sandy. Sandy-chan. Issei called her. Yes, Ice-kun. Sandy asked. Here, since I know you're going to buy the provisions to go to the Grand Line and since Luna, Zora and I eat a lot, here's this so you can buy enough for 2 months. Issei said, passing her a large bag with a lot of money. Wow, how much is there here? Sandy asked, taking the bag. 500,000. Issei said, shocking both women. That much? Alvida asked. Are you a millionaire by any chance? Sandy asked. Something like that, but don't tell Nami or she'll try to get money from me. Said Issei, and they nodded. Well, see you later, take care. He said, smiling. That made the blonde happy. You take care too, Ice-kun. Said the blonde, leaving, ignoring how Alvida was following the brown-haired boy. The brunette approached Issei and hooked onto his left arm, sticking her breasts to his arm. So, do we have a date? Alvida asked. Well, why not? But first let's get dressed up, buy some nice clothes and go to a nice restaurant. Issei said, smiling. That made Alvida happy. So. The couple went their own way, not knowing that their arrival would cause a commotion because of Luna. Shortly after. The couple was now at the best restaurant in the city, with Issei and Alvida looking elegant. The brown-haired boy bought a crimson-red tuxedo and a black shirt inside, the tie was also red, and the shoes too. While Alvida wore a beautiful light blue dress that clung to her dangerous curves, in addition to having a more than pronounced neckline that she herself chose when she saw how Issei sometimes looked at that part of her body. Issei and her looked at the one standing in the shop to let people in. A table for 2 in a somewhat private place. Issei said, handing a wad of bills to the man who was surprised and smiled at the couple. Oh, sure, this way please. Said the guy like a good creep. It was a fine restaurant, the finest in the city and very sought after. Pirates did not enter since they had guards very capable of scaring them away. It is not like they recognized Issei either since he let his hair down and put on a fake beard. I take them to an area away from the others, being very private. A waiter will come to serve you shortly, enjoy your evening, dear customers. Said the man, leaving the couple alone. Well, what money does? Alvida said with a sigh. You see, you give them a little money and they treat you like a god. Issei said, knowing how things worked with money. Alvida watched him, looking at him intently with a smile. What? Issei asked. Nothing, it's just that I think the beard looks good on you, it makes you look more manly. She said with a smile. You think? Well, if so, I'll let my beard grow. Issei said flattered. The waiter arrived to take their orders, and Issei ordered the most expensive wine they had, along with the best cuts of meat. Alvida was surprised, she didn't expect Issei to spend so much on an outing, not that she cared, but she was surprised. Wow. If Nami saw you spending so much money she would hit you without hesitation. Said Alvida. Everyone does what they want with their money, for me money isn't everything, besides, I wanted to make up for the way I've treated you since we met. Issei said somewhat embarrassed. That took the brunette by surprise. I know I haven't been the kindest and most attentive, I've yelled at you really badly on many occasions, and I've treated you badly, so I at least want to try to apologize to you by inviting you to this lunch. Said Issei, as he hasn't been the warmest person with the woman who has accompanied him for a while. Alvida was really surprised, did I really hear her right? I don't expect that she wanted to apologize for the time she had treated her coldly and somewhat annoyed. She smiled tenderly, reaching out to take Issei's hand, looking into his eyes. Calm down, I'm not mad at you, I know you've had a lot of problems, and I've also had them sometimes, I appreciate this nice gesture of yours, but you don't have to apologize for anything Ice. Said Alvida smiling at the brunette. Issei smiled, feeling somewhat relieved. Thank you, I honestly don't like treating women who haven't been bad to me badly, and you've only supported me since we met, but that's going to change from now on. Issei said with a light smile. Alvida was happy, she felt that with this she could be closer to fulfilling her plan of conquest. I like what I hear, so you better get ready Ice, because this gives me the green light to get closer to you. Alvida said, winking at Issei. He was surprised, but he didn't say anything, he wanted to see what she did to achieve that. The two just dedicated themselves to enjoying their time together. Meanwhile, the other crew members were doing their own thing, with Zora running into a girl who reminded her of her deceased childhood friend, rival, Usopp, having to compete with a girl for a pair of binoculars that would help him improve his aim, Sandy entering an eating competition and winning in monumental fashion, and Nami scamming several vendors. And Luna, she had gone alone to see the execution platform where the Pirate King Ghoul Roger died. Everything was going relatively well. Woo! Luna shouted from the top of the execution platform, watching everything in surprise as people shouted at her to come down from there. So this is the landscape that the Pirate King saw before he died. She said, marveling at the views. Until everything went wrong after the arrival of an old enemy that Luna made before meeting Issei again. Until I finally find you, you damn rubber brat, because of you I went through a lot of things while looking for my crew. Shouted a man with a clown face and a red nose, this is Buggy, the captain of the pirates with his name. He came with several of his subordinates who had already been defeated by Zora and Luna some time ago. Ha, but it's just Buggy. Said Luna, downplaying the pirate's arrival. Die, you damn brat, you always look down on me. Buggy shouted, annoyed by the girl's lack of reaction. From that arrival everything happened quickly, because in the end they managed to subdue Luna to keep her trapped, since Buggy would execute her. Honestly, it seems that misfortune followed Luna to this point. Poor thing. With Issei and Alvida. The food here sure tastes good. The woman commented as she finished her 10th plate of steak. It's a high-class place for a reason, but I prefer Sandy's food, being a Barati for so many years worked a lot for her, she's a great chef. Said Issei. Well, you're right, that pervert knows how to cook very well. Said Alvida, acknowledging the blonde's culinary skills. Issei didn't say anything to what she said to the blonde. Well, I think we better go for a walk before Luna gets into trouble. Issei said, calling the waiter. Alvida didn't contradict him, she doesn't know why, but without even knowing Luna for long she knows that she could get into trouble. Issei paid and they both left, with Alvida wanting to go change, while she and Issei returned to the ship to change. As they walked back they saw the sky, like black clouds approaching the island. A storm is coming. Issei said. I hope this doesn't affect our trip. Said Alvida. The two went to change, unaware of the commotion they were missing. Plaza Central. In the central square where the execution platform was, everything was in tremendous chaos. The group ended up gathering there, watching in horror as Luna was going to be executed by Buggy. The criminal monkey D. Luna, for the crime of making me angry and making fun of me, has been sentenced to instant execution. Shouted Buggy holding a sword. Nami had to leave because she had to prepare the Miri because she felt the storm coming, leaving the others there. Nami ran as fast as she could, hoping that everything would turn out well for everyone, and that Luna would be saved. The orange-haired girl then felt a strong gust of wind pass by her, which stopped her and made her look back. What was that? She asked herself confused. A battle between Luna's Nakamas and Buggy's pirates was taking place in the middle of the square. People fled in terror, while Buggy was upset because Luna shouted that she would be the queen of the pirates. The Marines there went out to confront the pirates, all led by a muscular man with gray hair and a good cigar in his mouth. That was Captain Smoker of the Navy. Next to her was the girl Zora met before. It was Sergeant Major Toshigi. "Smoker-san, this is getting out of hand," said Toshigi, watching the confrontation between her allies and the pirates. Sandy, Zora, Jin and Usopp tried to get past all of Buggy's pirates, but there were more of them than before, and they were more annoying. "Shit, we have to hurry and destroy that platform," said Zora, worried about Luna. "If Ice-kun was here, he would have been a great help," said Sandy, kicking the pirates with powerful kicks. "But he's not there, he went out with Alvida somewhere," said Jin, stopping a sword blow with his new tonfas and then returning a powerful blow to the jaw that sent the guy to sleep. "How?" Sandy asked, shocked to get annoyed and thus increase her attack power. "Damn, he got angry," said Usopp as he shot several pirates with his slingshot. "Jai Haja, it's useless, just look at the execution of your stupid captain," said Buggy with glee. All the Mugiwara saw that. Zora, Sandy, Usopp, Jin, Nami, Alvida, Ice. Luna shouted even though the three of them weren't present and gave a big smile. "I'm sorry, but this is as far as I go," she said resignedly. Everyone opened their eyes in surprise, even Smoker when he saw the smile with which he accepted his death. But in that whoosh, a strong gust of wind passed through everyone, knocking several pirates over and then rising up to reveal who it was. "Ice," Luna shouted, smiling. "What the fuck?" Buggy shouted, falling on his ass. There was Issei flying thanks to his wings, looking seriously at Buggy. "I heard from a strange guy who was writing a lie in what you had planned. Let me tell you that I will not let you do anything to her," Issei said seriously. Obviously Issei was the center of attention, although everyone thought it was some kind of devil fruit that gave him wings. "Who the hell are you, brat?" Buggy shouted, standing up while pointing at Issei with his sword. "Me? My name is Quentin," said Issei, which confused Buggy. "Quentin? What kind of name is that?" asked Buggy, confused. "What do you care, clown?" said Issei, hitting him on his red nose, knocking him out and causing him to fall off the platform. Then he saw Luna, who smiled at him. "You are a very troublesome captain," she said, shaking her head. "Haha, sorry, can you get me out of here?" Luna asked. "I should leave you there so you learn not to get into trouble, but we have to go, the Marines will follow us, and a storm is coming," said Issei, starting with force to lift the girl and hold her like a princess to go down with her. "Now you will take me flying more often," said Luna. "No, only if you behave," said Issei as she pouted. In the end they came down and the group approached them. "Are you also a fruit user?" Zora asked. Yes, I ate a zone," Issei said, lying, but he remembered that zones have animal characteristics. "Ice-kun, what do you mean you took that idiot Alvida on a date and not me?" Sandy asked indignantly. I don't think this is the time for that," said Usopp, nervously watching as the Marines began to surround them. "Usopp is right, we should get out of here now, then you can solve your marital problems," said Jin. Sandy blushed at those words and began to imagine a married life between her and Issei, which took a spicy turn at the end. "Haha, Ice-kun and I." Sandy laughed, lost in her fantasies. "Tch, this perverted cook," said Zora. "Anyway, we have to go," said Issei, taking Sandy in his arms. "Everyone, hold on to me so we can go quickly," he said as Luna jumped on his shoulders. Zora grabbed his left arm, Jin grabbed his right arm, and Usopp grabbed him by the back. "Hold on tight," he said as he started running at high speed with everyone on top of him. This peculiar escape scene surprised everyone, but the Marines still went after them, although they achieved nothing since Issei was like a car, no one could stop him. On the way to the West Pier, Issei turned a corner as he watched as someone blocked his path. It was Toshigi, who looked upset. "Urano Zora. You tricked me, you were Urano as well as a pirate, you are despicable," said Toshigi, annoyed as she unsheathed her sword. "What did you do to her?" Issei asked. "Nothing, she's crazy," said Zora, not wanting to see Toshigi's face when she reminded her of her deceased friend. "I'll get the..." She was going to say more, but Issei was faster. "I'm sorry, Miss Marine, but we're in a hurry," said Issei, passing at high speed to her left side. "Better another time," he shouted from afar. "But how fast?" shouted a Marine soldier. Toshigi saw that, somewhat surprised, she couldn't reach him in her current state. "Urano Zora, I will recover Wado Ichimonji from the hands of a criminal like you," he said seriously, because he would not leave such a sword in someone despicable like her. That was from his point of view. "We're close now," Issei said, but then a kind of three-wheeled vehicle resembling a motorcycle almost ran him over if he didn't stop. There was Smoker, who had taken a shortcut to get to them. "Here they are, Mugiwara Luffy and Haidu," Issei Smoker said, recognizing Issei. And who are you? Asked Luna. My name is Smoker, captain of the Navy headquarters, and I have come to stop you. Said Smoker, his arms beginning to turn into smoke. He's a Loja user. Issei said, acknowledging that he would be someone problematic. But then a powerful gust of wind blew Smoker's smoke away. Is this what Nami is talking about? Said Usopp. Whatever, let's take advantage of this opportunity to get out of here. Said Jin. Issei felt the presence of someone watching them from nearby, and he looked where he felt said presence, managing to capture a hooded man. But he left that alone and launched himself at Smoker. Go away while I buy time. Issei said, setting his arms on fire. Everyone had to pay attention, so they moved to the sides. They won't escape. Said Smoker, blowing out more smoke. Don't take your eyes off your opponent. Issei said, throwing a punch lit on fire and loaded with taki. Smoker thought about letting it go since it wouldn't do anything to him, but when Issei's attack hit him, damaging him, it surprised him. Smoker was pushed away by the punch. How? He said surprised. Someone I met. In Shabbat he told me that to fight against Loja users you need something called armor hockey, but I don't have any hockey, so I used my internal energy to test and look, it worked, thanks for being my test dummy. Said Issei while releasing a good amount of taki. Smoker looked at Issei carefully, that strange energy covering his body made him alert. You are more dangerous than I thought, more than the Mugiwara girl. Smoker said seriously. Oh old man, you don't know anything. Issei said attacking again. Smoker stood still when he saw Issei standing in front of him throwing a punch. Issei wasn't going to kill him, his goal was to disable him, since he wasn't going to go around killing Marines like crazy, only the idiots who abused their power like that rat face. Smoker managed to dodge the blow to his face by moving his head to the side, but he didn't expect a second blow directly to his stomach. Ugh. He complained, feeling a strong pain in his abdomen and organs. Issei didn't wait and gave him a well-placed punch to move his brain. The last thing Smoker saw was Issei before his lights were turned off for the moment. Captain. The Marines shouted in alarm as they took out their weapons and pointed them at Issei. He's not dead, but you better pick him up then, there you go. Said Issei running from there while he began to dodge bullets. Issei arrived at the place, seeing how the ships were far away. EES, come quickly. Luna shouted from the distance. Issei took out his wings and flew, leaving the island and going to his ship which was led by Alvida. He landed on the deck of the Going Miri, and a surprised Nami watched him from the helm area. You have wings. She cried in surprise. Yes. Was Issei's simple response as he hit his wings. Phew, what madness. He said, feeling the rain starting to fall. At least we managed to escape. Said Jin. And someone almost lost their mind. Said Zor looking seriously at Luna. Hey, it's not my fault that buggy wants to kill me. Said Luna. We better keep a good course to Reverse Mountain, otherwise we crash into the red line. Said Issei approaching the left edge of the ship to jump onto the deck of his and go help Alvida. He's right, and the situation is worse with this storm we're in. Said Nami, continuing her course towards her next destination. It was an hour of travel when everyone saw a strong light pointing to a specific point. Look, a lighthouse. Said Luna. Issei and Alvida were with them since Sandy proposed something that she liked. Let's celebrate our success in entering the Great Sea of Greatness. Said Sandy smiling as he placed a barrel of liquor on the ground. The group gathered around the barrel. Sandy was the first to put her foot on the barrel. To find the all blue. She said with a smile. To become the queen of the pirates. Said Luna smiling. To become the most powerful female swordsman in the world. Zora said smiling. To draw a map of the world. Nami said smiling. To become a powerful sea warrior. Said Usopp. To be a strong and renowned pirate. Jin said with a half smile. To become the most beautiful and powerful pirate in the world. Said Alvida with a big smile. In the end, Issei was left, who just looked at the barrel with everyone putting their feet there. He was thoughtful, everyone had dreams, but not him. Come on Ice, what are you waiting for? Said Luna. Issei looked at each of them, with dreams to follow and fulfill, with something they wanted to do, but he had nothing to truly fight for. But he thought and smiled, putting his foot in the missing space. To help them fulfill their dreams even if it means the end of me. Said Issei and everyone was surprised, but they smiled. Let's go to Grand Line. They all shouted, breaking the barrel, thus naming their trip. Time after. Issei was steering the ship, as Nami had told them that they should be careful when passing through Reverse Mountain. She still didn't believe that the water was rising up the mountain, but Issei assured her that even he was surprised to see such an unnatural thing, but that it was due to the strong currents that caused the water pressure to achieve that rising effect. Well, if we continue like this everything will go. Oh holy shit. Said Issei watching as the strong winds blew the Miri off course. Ice, the Miri was dragged to the calm belt. Alvida arrived screaming upset. Yes, I already saw that, stay here, I'll go get them, or else they'll become Sea King food. Said Issei, leaving Alvida in charge of his ship. Issei left the command post to take out his wings and fly to where he saw the Miri being dragged. Alvida left worried, watching as Issei disappeared into the distance. I hope you are well, said Alvida, not wanting to even remember when she was in front of those colossal sea beasts when Issei decided to sail there. Issei flew for several miles, seeing the horizon as everything was calm. He increased his speed, easily managing to dodge several bolts of lightning that tried to hit him. The end came at the calm belt, and it was not difficult for him to find the Miri, as he saw how a huge group of sea kings emerged, and one that looked like a giant elver had him on its nose. Shit, said Issei, flying so fast without being noticed by the sea kings to approach the Miri. When he landed on the deck, he was seen by everyone, but they were so scared that they felt enormous relief when they saw him. Listen carefully, I will distract those things once they get out of here. When I do that, you row as hard as you can, said Issei. Would you be okay? Jin asked. Yes, I've been here before, Issei said, preparing to act as a fly. You heard him, take the oars, said Nami, who was so scared that she was hugging the mainmast. Everyone listened. Okay, on the count of 3. Go, Issei shouted, flying at high speed to spin around the sea kings who began to want to eat him. Although they flew away. On the sea king they were on sneezed, sending them away, although Issei had to save Usopp from being devoured by one that looked like a frog. It was a short but terrifying experience that taught them a lesson not to sail through the calm belt again without the necessary means. But Issei did not leave empty-handed and killed one of the sea kings to take some meat because its meat was delicious. At least everything ended well, said Alvida, sitting near Issei in the ship's command room. Yes, Sandy said she would make a good meal with the meat I brought, said Issei, piloting the ship. At that, the den mushy that Issei had there began to ring. The brown-haired boy answered it. Ice, I need you to pilot your ship behind the Miri. I will guide them directly to the entrance of the canal that goes up Reverse Mountain, said Nami, who was the one who called. Understood, Issei said, using a lever to slow down the ship and begin to settle behind the Miri. The trip was relatively calm. Until it became worrying because the Miri was going too far to the right, and if it continued like this, they were going to crash. Nami, what's wrong? Issei asked worriedly. The rudder is broken, Nami shouted worriedly. Shit, that's bad, Issei said, ready to go help. But when he did, he saw Luna inflate her body so that the ship would bounce and stabilize its course. Thanks to Alvida, her ship also managed to pass completely, and the two on deck saw everything with a smile, because for Issei it was like a roller coaster. Woo-ju, Issei shouted, raising his hands. Alvida smiled, seeing him excited. He was cute. First Miri jumped to land on the descent lane, then it was Issei's ship's turn. The brown-haired boy hugged Alvida, while the two rose a little and then descended. Alvida and Issei continued hugging each other, watching them go down. So that's the Grand Line. It's beautiful, said Alvida, wanting to cry from the emotion of seeing the most famous sea of all four. The first time in her life. Hey Alvida, this place is beautiful but treacherous, don't be overconfident, said Issei, but then sharpening his gaze he looked at a huge black wall. Damn, I forgot to tell you about the whale, he said. Whale? Alvida asked, confused, seeing only a kind of large black wall at the end of the road. It's just that when I pass by here, let's say I see a whale, and apparently it has been here a long time since it has old scars on its head, said Issei. And why does he do that? Alvida asked. I don't know either, I just know that we have to stop or they lead us, said Issei, who didn't want to be whale food like Jonah. Using the boat's engine, which moved the two mechanisms of movement backwards. Sure, the speed of the current was strong, but nothing out of this world, since Issei managed to see how the boys managed to get down calmly. Only to see how Luna jumped off the boat and the Miri was devoured by the whale. The whale ate them, shouted Alvida, watching as Miri was swallowed by the colossal animal. Issei didn't say anything and moved the ship at maximum power. With that he would look for a way to dock the ship to see how to help the boys get out of this predicament. Issei saw a lighthouse a few meters from the exit of Reverse Mountain, so he went there to dock the ship. Well, how do we get them out of there without hurting the animal? Issei wondered as he looked at the whale, considering that it was many times larger than a whale from his world, so many times that it was ridiculous. And if we just kill her and that's it? Said Alvida. Let's see, the poor animal has lived here for however long, it would be unpleasant if someone suddenly attacked it. Besides, I saw how Luna hit it in the eye after shooting it with a cannon, it's normal for it to swallow them, said Issei, thinking of other options. Well, they'll know how. Wait, is that a hatch? Alvida asked, pointing to the back of the whale. The animal was calm and horizontal, and you could see how much it was about, but the most striking thing was a huge metal gate almost near its tail. Isn't that her butt? Issei said, confused. But what a strange thing, said Alvida, sitting on a chair. Then they saw the whale enter the water. He left, said Alvida. Issei remained silent, not knowing what to do. At that point, strong shocks began to be felt. Now what? Said Alvida. Now I know why it has those marks. Said Issei after remembering the marks on the animal's head. Why? Alvida asked. Call me crazy, but I think that whale is crashing into red line. Said Issei. Why would she do something like that? Is she stupid? Said Alvida, not understanding what that animal wanted to achieve with that. I don't know, let's just wait for them to come out. Issei said, sighing and waiting, sitting in a chair next to Alvida. Do you really think they'll get out of there? Alvida asked. Yes, they have enough guts to be stopped by a gigantic whale. Issei said, leaning back in his chair. Alvida said nothing more and waited for the others to get out of the whale, if they managed to get out, of course. It was about an hour later when the whale calmly emerged, and then its enormous rear door opened and Miri emerged from there. They left. Alvida said, surprised. That's good. Issei said, smiling. Ice. Luna shouted, smiling. Issei saw that Miri was missing Luna's seat, they would have to get a carpenter right away. Issei watched as two people left the ship by swimming away at high speeds. Luna and the others docked near Issei's ship, getting off with someone else, an old man with strange hair. A friend of yours? The old man asked Sandy. Yes, it's another of our beloved nakamas. Said Sandy, smiling. I see. Said the old man. It's a good thing they came out of that whale, because if not, I was going to dissect it alive by swallowing them. Said Issei, surprising everyone. That's good, because poor Laboon has been through a lot for you to come and kill him. Said Usopp, sighing nervously at what Issei said. Laboon? Alvida asked. That's the whale's name, Laboon. Said Luna, smiling. A good name. Issei said, nodding. So, what happened in there and why does the whale have a door in its ass? He asked. Well, you see, this is what happened. Then Jin began to tell everything, and the old man called Crocus ended up telling the story of how Laboon ended up like that. Wow, it must be sad, waiting for your friends for many years. Said Issei, looking at the huge whale. Could they still be alive? Alvida asked. It is not known, but it may be that they are already dead. Said Crocus, because he more than anyone knows how treacherous the Grand Line is. It's most likely, this sea is dangerous after all. Said Issei. Have you been here before? Crocus asked. Yes, only when I arrived I came flying. Said Issei, surprising the old man a little. Too bad, he's been wasting so many years waiting for people who practically abandoned him. Said Zora with her arms crossed. Hey, don't say such cruel things, you wretch, you don't know anything, they will come back, they promised. Said Usopp angrily. The truth is crueler than you imagine, boy. Said Crocus. Usopp paid attention. They fled from the Grand Line. Crocus said, surprising almost everyone. But if they did that they must have gone through the calm belt. Said Nami. Yes, from then on nothing is known about them, and whether they are alive or not, they would never return here. This sea is hard for anyone, even the most seasoned warrior runs away like a little child. Said Crocus seriously. Is that why you left here? Zora asked Issei. Really, Ice? Were you afraid of the Grand Line? Luna asked, surprised. What? No, nothing like that, I was bored so I went back to East Blue, not because I was scared or anything. Issei said, offended. Did you go through the calm belt just because you were bored? Crocus asked, not believing. That? Yes, although it was annoying to kill many of those sea kings, but when they saw that they couldn't defeat me they gave up. Said Issei, and the old man was very surprised. Anyway, if this continues Laboon will end up killing herself, and I don't want that. I've spent 50 years with her to see her slowly kill herself because of people who abandoned her just like that. Said Crocus, sighing with some sadness. At that point they heard a scream, saw Luna who shamelessly ripped the mast off the Miri, jumping with all her strength and then nailing it into Laboon's forehead. What are you doing? Issei shouted, seeing what Luna did. What are you doing to the whale? They all shouted. Don't destroy the ship, damn it. Usopp shouted angrily. They sure need a good carpenter. Alvida commented with a sigh. In the end Luna fought with Laboon to leave everything in a draw, with the promise of seeing each other and facing each other again once she finishes her journey to become the pirate queen. Issei smiled, as that foolish girl gave him a new reason to wait for the poor animal. Luna then drew a weird doodle of her Holly Roger, which Laboon seemed happy about. Now everything was calm, as Issei decided to help Usopp fix the Miri. If they continue like this, they will end up destroying the ship. Said Issei, holding the mast while Usopp put a metal support on it. Yes, this moon, destroying the gift that Kaya gave us. Said Usopp, annoyed. Is she your girlfriend? Issei asked, and Usopp, upon hearing such a question, ended up hammering his finger. Aya. He shouted, holding his finger. Shut up, Usopp, I want to take a nap. Zora, who was lying on the floor, scolded him. Ugh, why do you ask that? She's not my non-girlfriend, she's a friend of mine. Usopp said, blushing, which made Issei smile. But you like it? Issei said. Shut up. Usopp shouted, embarrassed. I told them to shut up. Zora shouted angrily. Shut up and go to sleep once and for all. Usopp shouted. Angrily. Issei just laughed at the big nose, apparently he had his other half in his home. Don't worry Usopp, I will help you become a strong and brave man, so that when you return home you can marry your friend. Said Issei, embarrassing the cruise shooter. Ah. Nami's scream was heard, which alarmed everyone. The good thing is that the mast was in place, so they went to see what was wrong. What happened now? Issei asked. The compass is broken. Said Nami, showing how the compass was spinning like crazy. Just that. It's normal for this to happen here, the Grand Line's electromagnetic field drives normal compasses crazy, that's why the log pose is used instead. Said Issei since everyone saw him. What? He asked. If you knew that, why didn't you say so? I didn't worry at all. Nami said, annoyed. Did you ask? It's that they must be prepared for anything, they already know where they were going, they are lucky that I have one. Said Issei, going to his ship through his log pose. That boy sure walks prepared. Said Crocus. Well, considering that he's already been here in the Grand Line, it's normal. Said Jin. Did you know about that too? Usopp asked the man with the tonfas. Honestly no, that's why Don Krieg returned to the West Blue, because he wasn't prepared. Jin said with a sigh. Shortly after, Issei returned holding the log pose, and Luna seemed to have a light bulb moment. Oh, it's like that thing those weird guys left behind. Luna said, showing a log pose. Well, now they have their own. Said Issei as Nami sighed. Let's see, give me that. Said Nami, snatching the log pose from Luna, who pouted angrily. Their Crocus began to explain to him that each island in the Grand Line has its own magnetic field and that the log pose must memorize said magnetic field in order to find the location of the next island, a process that can sometimes take days. Well, who's hungry? Issei asked everyone. Me. Most of them shouted except for Alvida and Nami, the latter being analyzing the log pose. I'll prepare one of the elephant tuna that I bought with Ice-kun's money. Said Sandy with a smile, going to the Miri for said fish. Well, Crocus-san, are there any marine animals nearby? Issei asked the old man. Not near here, they've all been scared away by Laboon, you'd have to search several meters in that direction if you want to fish. Said Crocus, pointing to a spot. Okay, I'll go fishing, I'll be right back. Said Issei, taking out his wings to go see what he could get. Are you his own user? Crocus asked, surprised. Yes. Was the only thing Jin answered. Issei flew a little, but something caught his attention, two people who were watching the group hiding in some rocks. He slowly descended to see what they wanted. Look Mr.9, that girl has our log pose. Said a beautiful girl with light blue hair tied in a ponytail. Yes, Miss Wednesday, it was my mistake to have forgotten it there. Said the man known as Mr. 9, a blonde-haired, eccentric-looking man wearing green noble-like clothes and a crown. Hello, did you lose something? Issei asked from above, scaring the duo. Kaya, it has wings. Miss Wednesday shouted in surprise. Who are you? Mr. 9 asked, alarmed. That's what I should ask you, what do you want with my friends? Said Issei with his arms crossed, looking at the pair, but remembered what Jin said and frowned. Wait a minute, you're the two who wanted to kill Laboon for his meat. He said, although he wasn't going to complain to them, after all he was about to do what the biology frogs did to the poor whale. The two were nervous, but the blonde saw something behind Issei and became even more scared. It can't be, it's the Unluckies. Said Mr. 9 nervously. That scared Miss Wednesday. Issei became confused and looked behind him, seeing a strange otter riding on a vulture, both wearing glasses and a rag on their heads. But what the hell? Issei said, confused. Mr. 13, Ms. Friday, there is a good explanation for all this, we had been caught by some pirates and… Mr. 9 began to shout, scared of the two animals, but they paid little attention to him. The otter took out something, a gift box which had a fuse, and with a shell in his stomach and one in his hand, he lit the fuse and dropped the bomb. That scared the two behind Issei, but not the brunette, who frowned. But what rude animals, if it were under animal control they would have already been put to sleep. Said Issei, hitting the bomb, sending it flying and exploding somewhere else. That surprised the two behind him and made the two animals annoyed at him for interrupting their work. What? Are you coming for more? Come on, get closer. Said Issei, flying straight to the animals that got scared and tried to escape, but Issei gave them no mercy and hit them so hard that he plucked the vulture that fell in a nosedive next to the otter. And that's what you get for thinking you're the strongest. He said, snorting and descending towards the two. Then who exactly are you two? He asked seriously. Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday were scared of the boy. And that's how things are, these people want us to take them back to their home, which is Whiskey Peak Island. Said Issei, with Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday kneeling before Nami. Don't you find this suspicious? Nami asked. Yes, but in the end we will end up going there because of the log pose. Said Issei. Please help us, when we get home we will pay you for this favor," said Mr. 9, putting his head on the ground. "Yes, please help us," said Miss Wednesday. "Okay, but this won't be cheap," Nami said, letting herself be carried away by the word payment. The others didn't say anything, but they would keep an eye on them, or well, everyone except Luna, who didn't care about their presence. "Well, we're ready to go now," said Nami, seeing that the log pose finally stayed still in one direction. Everyone went to their respective places, and the two bustles were surprised to see Issei's ship. They said goodbye to Crocus and Laboon, resuming their journey and beginning the first part of their adventure along the Grand Line. What the future holds for them, only time will tell. Time after. The journey for the Mugiwara started strong, Issei warned them, and they, although they were not prepared, were not so weak either. A wave of climate change hit them since they entered the sea. First it was hot, then it was heavy rain, then it turned into hail, and then it was strong winds. Now it was snowing as if it were December, even though it was the middle of summer. Well, now these are sudden changes in weather, Nami said, sighing, tired of so many changes in the weather. "I don't want to say it, but I'll do it anyway." "I told you," said Issei through a den mushi that Nami had nearby. "Shut up," Nami said, snorting. "You sound stressed, don't you want me to give you a massage?" Issei asked, wanting to be nice. Nami thought about it, because lately this has her stressed, and more so with the sudden weather changes that are happening in such a disorderly and random way, it has her somewhat unwell. "It wouldn't be bad," she said with a sigh. "Do you want it now?" Issei asked. "If you can," she said. "Okay, I'm on my way, just wait for me a little bit," Issei said, cutting the call. Nami just sighed and looked at the others. Usopp was making sculptures with the snow, Luna was playing with him destroying what he built, and Zora. She was sleeping even with this cold weather, while Sandy was using a shovel to remove the snow from Issei's ship, and not from Mary. The brown-haired boy came out of his ship's control room, watching Sandy throw the snow into the sea. "Leave that, I'll do it later," Issei said to the blonde. "No ice-kun, don't worry, I'll do it with pleasure," said Sandy smiling. Issei sighed, approached her and took her hands delicately, causing her to drop the shovel and look at him surprised and blushing. "Sandy-chan, let me do it later, okay? You rest, you must be tired of cooking so much, even you need a break," said Issei looking straight into her eyes. The blonde was blushing, her heart was beating 1,000 miles an hour. "Aye. You yes," said Sandy, looking down, not wanting Issei to see her embarrassed. Issei smiled, at least he made her stop doing that, as he didn't like her doing more work than necessary. "Okay, now go and rest for a while, okay?" he said, caressing the blonde's head, who just nodded and jumped to Miri and then into the women's room. Issei also jumped, seeing Nami in the helm area. The brown-haired boy watched the others play or do their things, and he saw Jin sitting on the mast and Zora leaning against the mast on the deck. The brown-haired boy saw the two extras from the ship, they were sitting at the kitchen table in silence, that was strange, but he let them be. Finally I got to Nami, who looked stressed. "Hello," Issei said, making himself noticed. "Hi, so would you give me that massage you said?" Nami asked. "Of course," Issei said, approaching her from behind. Issei placed his hands on Nami's shoulders, and she was surprised to feel that his hands were warm. Then Issei began the massage, going slowly and gently over the shoulders, passing through the nape of the neck and then the back. Nami closed her eyes, enjoying the warm, sweet sensation, letting out soft sighs of relief. The brown-haired boy continued calmly, massaging where he felt the girl's tension. Nami felt too good, too much in fact, as she had to hold back moans that wanted to escape her mouth. Nami didn't know it, but Issei had a natural gift for giving massages, and both men and women can attest to that, especially women, because in the end, Issei made them enter a kind of ecstasy. "Ha!" Nami was surprised and covered her mouth in embarrassment as she felt the need to moan in pleasure. "I think this is where I stop," Issei said, moving his hands away, but Nami stopped him. "And no, see, continue," she said, because it felt good. "Are you sure?" Issei asked. "Yes," she said, and Issei nodded. The brown-haired boy massaged Nami for a few minutes until he saw that she couldn't take it anymore. Nami held onto Issei, her legs shaking and a blush covering her face. She didn't expect that, and the bad thing is that she liked it. "Are you more relaxed now?" Issei asked. I think I'm more than relaxed," said Nami, looking Issei in the eyes. "Where did you learn to massage like that?" she asked. "Well, I used to massage my grandparents when they were stressed, same with my parents," said Issei, remembering when he started massaging, but then he remembered how this turned monstrous when he massaged Riaz or Akeno for their back pain, they almost raped him. Although he wouldn't have complained at all. Nami was surprised, she didn't expect this. "If I asked you, would you do it again?" Nami asked, embarrassed. "If you want, yes," Issei said without much problem. "Okay, thanks Ice." Nami said with an embarrassed smile. You're welcome, that's what friends are for. Issei said with a smile. Without knowing it, the two were seen by Zora, who opened one of her eyes upon hearing Nami's moan. She thought they were doing something wrong and was going to yell at them to go to a room, but when she saw that it was a massage she became curious about it, but first it was time to sleep. At that point the mood began to change again, with Nami leaving her relaxed state to get down to work more relaxed. Literally everything was a changing hell, from cold to hot, from hot to humid, from humid to dry and so on. Issei destroyed an iceberg that came out of nowhere and was going to damage the Miri. And while all this chaos was happening, Zora was fast asleep. Hours later. Ha, what a shitty sea. Said Issei lying on a beach chair on his boat. Don't mention it, this is more difficult than trying to navigate a whirlpool. Said Alvida in the chair next to Issei. They recently left that changing area and Issei had to give Nami another massage because she ended up super stressed. Issei had actually forgotten how the weather was handled here. He remembered how he set sail in a small boat through this demon sea, and it was thanks to his skills that he managed to get through safely, because otherwise he would have been dead a long time ago. Hey guys, look, we're almost reaching the island. Luna shouted, causing both Issei and Alvida to look where their captain was pointing. Several meters away you could see an island with several gigantic cacti. So this is Whiskey Peak. Issei said, just raising his head slightly. Then they saw how the two extra ones jumped and swam at high speed towards the island. Well, I'm lazy. Said Issei lying down looking at the sky. Do you want me to drive for you? Asked Usopp, leaning over the edge of the Miri. If you want. Said Issei as the big nose smiled since he had been curious for a while about what the command room of Issei's ship looks like. Usopp jumped straight into the control room, amazed at how simple it was, but also because he saw a gear shift lever and such. In the end, the two ships approached the island at good speed, passing through a river that connected to the interior. They didn't see it because they were busy with other things, but Issei managed to see that what looked like thorns in the distance on those huge cactus-shaped mountains were actually several tombstones. Goodbye. This is my wife. What's wrong, Ice? Alvida asked. Be careful, this place is dangerous. Issei said, and she was surprised. Finally they reached the port, being greeted by a large crowd that praised them. Issei stood watching everything. Wow, they love us. Sandy said, surprised by such a welcome. It seems like pirates are heroes to them. Luna said, surprised. Issei looked at everything seriously, because there was something fishy going on here. They finally docked at the small dock, where a tall man with curly blonde hair, wearing fancy clothes and holding a saxophone, was waiting for them. Boo. Cough cough, ma ma ma. Welcome, my name is Igaram, the mayor of Whiskey Peak, it's a pleasure to meet you. Said the man called Igaram elegantly. I may surprise you, but this is a city with music and drinks everywhere, we pride ourselves on our hospitality. He said calmly. Issei watched everything carefully as he approached Jin, who was standing next to Zora. Do you believe him? Issei asked both of them. No, it's obvious that they're plotting something here. Jin whispered, analyzing the suspicious atmosphere. I'll be on the lookout for anything that happens. Zora said, thinking of something she remembered when she heard the names of the two who were with them before. Anyway, if they try something, they don't know what's waiting for them. Issei said. In the end, Igaram threw a party for everyone to have fun. Issei made sure that no one entered his ship because he didn't want anything stolen. He also secured the Miri just in case. And so the night came to Whiskey Peak. They spent an afternoon of celebration and merriment where everyone was celebrated. Issei was surrounded by several girls, and Sandy and Alvida had to be close to him to keep them away. Nami got into a drinking contest, Luna ate until she was full, Usopp spent his time telling crazy anecdotes that only he would tell, and Jin and Zora spent their time drinking, while maintaining great suspicion towards everyone. Issei was alert, watching everyone act since he didn't believe this story at all. It was hours until nightfall, and it was at that moment that the party began to end. In a house the entire gang was gathered, while Nami was still conscious, only Luna and Usopp were asleep, while the rest pretended to be asleep, except Issei and Zora, who had left without anyone noticing them. Do you think they'll sell themselves? Zora asked, sitting next to Issei on the roof of a house near where everyone was. Believe me, they always do it. Said Issei, watching as Igaram left looking at the mountains. The two watched in silence as Igaram began to talk to Mr. 8 and Miss Wednesday, and then a woman who was dressed as a nun before, but was actually one of them, Miss Monday, came out. They talked about how they were having a food crisis, and that the Mugiwara crew ate a lot of what they had, being surprised when Igaram showed Luna and Issei's posters, both adding up to 55 million berries. Quickly, go to your ship and loot all your treasures, let's kill them all, even if the government only gives us 30% of the rewards. Said Igaram as the three of them with him were going to obey the order. Alright, that's our signal. Issei said, standing up. Zora just nodded and stood up. I'm sorry to ruin your plans, but please don't wake the boys, they need a good rest after a hard trip," said Issei, making himself noticed as the four of them looked at him in surprise. "But how is it possible that they are still awake after drinking so much?" Mr. H shouted in surprise. "A true swordsman wouldn't be easily defeated by drink," Zora said, drawing his swords as he placed the third one in his mouth. "No alcohol in this world is capable of even making me yawn," said Issei, doing some stretches. This made the four of them nervous, more because of Issei's presence than Zora's. "It was to be expected that there would be many, if this is a nest of bounty hunters," said Zora, as little by little all the bounty hunters from the place began to leave, being all those who received them. "There are like 100, how unfair," Issei said, smiling. "For them," Zora said with a smile. "Don't worry, we will face all of you," Baroque Work said, surprising everyone. "How do you know the name of our organization?" asked a surprised Mr.8. "They tried to recruit me a while ago, but I refused," said Zora simply. "None of you know your boss in person, nor do you call each other by your first names, you use pseudonyms, trying to be secrets to everyone," she said with a mocking smile. "Well, for a secret organization it's not that secret," said Issei. "They know too much, they must die," Igaram said seriously. "Today we will add 2 more graves to the Cactus Mountains," he said, since Issei knew that since he came those mountains were a huge cemetery. "Kill them," Igaram shouted, but where the brown-haired boy and the green-haired girl were before, there was no one. "They're not there," one of them shouted. "Find them immediately," another shouted. "In that." Pam. Ugh. One of the mercenaries received a powerful blow to the stomach that made him spit blood mixed with vomit. The person in charge. "I already told you that these guys didn't inspire confidence in me." It was Jin who had his 2 tonfas ready for the fight. "Another one is awake," a woman shouted. At this everyone turned to look to the side, seeing Zora in the middle of a huge group of bounty hunters while smiling. "What? Shall we begin?" Zora asked. Immediately everyone attacked her. But only 3 people were paying attention to the last subject who was not there. "Up!" shouted Miss Wednesday, pointing to the sky. A half moon could be seen in the sky, but if one looked closely, one could see a shadow with floating wings and a pair of green eyes that watched everyone. This made many of the bounty hunters tremble, but they wouldn't let them, so one who had a bazooka launched a rocket at the figure, while others with long-range weapons fired to kill that thing. Boom. The explosion came shortly after and a curtain of smoke covered the place where the shadow was. They thought they won, but no, the smoke cleared quickly and the shadow was still up there, stalking them. While Zora ran and cut some, Jin was surrounded by several guys with swords and guns. The black-haired man was attentive, being a former member of ExE. Irit, who was already here, he was not stupid and had to train better. "That's why I accepted Issei's training even if it was hard." "Die!" shouted one of the bounty hunters, launching himself at Jin from behind. Jin spun around and hit him in the face with the back of the tonfa, breaking his jaw and knocking out several teeth. 2 others launched themselves from the sides, and seeing their space reduced, he waited and jumped at the same time, causing the 2 men to almost pass through each other with their weapons, but then received kicks to the back of the head from Jin. Bang bang bang. Jin managed to get to the ground when several bullets were aimed at him, and these bullets hit other subjects who fell to the ground in pain. Without letting them aim at him, he ran towards one of them, hitting hard those on either side, and then grabbed the first subject's gun. "Damn it, let me go," the guy shouted angrily, but Jin's grip was strong. Bang bang bang. More shots rang out, and Jin used the guy as a human shield. "Ah!" the subject shouted, falling dead from the shots. "Damn it!" shouted an angry woman, jumping on Jin using a huge mallet. "Fuck you, bitch," said Jin, stepping aside, and when the woman dropped the mallet, which crashed into the ground and stuck, he hit her on the back of the neck with the club of his right hand, and with a crack the woman fell dead. Bang. "Ugh, motherfuckers," Jin said as a bullet hit him in the shoulder. The black-haired man, seeing an escape route, took it, there were too many for him. "Don't let him get away," shouted one of the bounty hunters, pointing to where Jin was going. The others followed the man with the tonfas, who was upset by such carelessness. "I'll tell Issei to help me get better," Jin thought as he ran as fast as his legs would take him to hide for a while. Phew. "Ah!" were the screams of several bounty hunters as they were rammed by Issei, who descended at high speed from the sky, receiving several shots. That only damaged his clothes. Bomb. Issei landed hard on the ground, creating a crater and a shock wave that caused others to fly away. In front of the brown-haired boy were a nervous Igaram, Mr. 8 and Miss Wednesday, and Igaram was the one who quickly fired several shots at him from his hair cannons. Issei received them without a problem, scaring the man further. "Well, it's time to." But Issei didn't finish saying anything when someone literally hit him with a piece of building that moved him a little from his place. The one responsible was Miss Monday, who didn't wait for Issei to react and using 2 iron knuckles launched a strong blow. Kakiri. Narakan. the woman shouted, launching a powerful blow directly at Issei's face. Bam. The bang was heard from several sides, and everyone thought that Issei would fall because of it. Wow, look, you made me bleed. Issei said calmly, holding the blow to his left cheek, while a thin thread of blood came out of the corner of his lips. It can't be, said Mr. 8 scared. He's a monster, said Miss Wednesday, as did her companion. The Navy must have made a mistake when posting the posters. This guy is not worthy of that reward, said Igaram, sweating cold. I'm not one to hit women, but since we're in a fight, I just won't hit you in the face because I know how important it is for a woman, said Issei looking at the scared Miss Monday. Pam. Ugh. Miss Monday fell to her knees holding her stomach, but it was only a reflex as her eyes were white. She didn't spit blood because her body was stronger than many men here, and she just collapsed unconscious to one side. Issei looked at her and then turned his gaze to the last 3 subjects before him. Seeing the brown-haired boy looking at them, they took a step back. Listen, this is useless. Zora and Jin must have already finished with their colleagues, and you won't be able to defeat me no matter what you do, so let's pretend this didn't happen and leave, said Issei, letting out a sigh. For him this turned out to be useless. He felt their fear. This surprised Igaram as he thought that being a pirate he would simply kill them, and that was it. And you think we'll believe you? Mr. 8 shouted, scared but not giving up. Ah, then you have chosen the path of death, said Issei looking seriously at the blonde who cowered instantly. Issei listened to the destruction in the background. It seemed those two were really up to something big. We surrender, said Igaram, falling to his knees, defeated. Igaram, Miss Wednesday said, approaching the man with clear concern. Issei looked at them and then sighed. One question, why the hell are they in a place where they literally have them as cannon fodder? Issei asked, confusing the trio. Huh? Mr. 8 said, confused. Yes, I mean, look at you, how many pirates have you killed in order to have something better? Your boss doesn't even give you the food you need since you were desperate to get Laboon meat, plus you spent everything you had trying to kill us, which didn't work. Why go to so much effort for someone who doesn't even take you into account? Issei asked, sitting on the floor. Of the 3, Igaram and Miss Wednesday lowered their gaze, while Mr. 8 just stood there thoughtfully. With that force they could very well go to West Blue to hunt criminals or weak pirates and not be here begging for leftovers, said Issei. And you think I didn't want that? Said Mr. 8 with clear anger. But once you enter BW you only come out dead, he said looking down frustrated. What shit? Said Issei. Why are you telling us that? Asked the only woman near them, since the other one was unconscious. Because I don't think you guys are that bad, Issei said, surprising the 3. You think we're not bad? Are you stupid? We're bounty hunters, Mr. 8 shouted angrily. And? Issei said. We have killed people, said Igaram. Me too, Issei said. Are you stupid or something? Miss Wednesday asked, looking at Issei strangely. A fool is someone who does stupid things, but anyway, they should get out of here while they are still safe since Zora or Jin won't let them go, said Issei, standing up and dusting off his pants. The 3 of them watched Issei turn around as he walked away from there. They wanted to attack him, but they decided not to. What are we going to do now? Said Mr.8 looking at Igaram. I don't know, said the curly-haired man. In the end they decided to go and hide while the pirates left, and they would see how to resolve this matter later. While Issei managed to see Zora finish defeating several bounty hunters while Jin with a rag on his shoulder that was bloody had hit one, leaving him lying on the ground. And then the sun started to rise, and with it more problems. Moments later. Phew, they were really annoying, said Zora leaning against the wall of what remained of a building. Jin was knocked unconscious from bleeding, but he was okay. Now it's time to wait for everyone to wake up and leave this place at once, said Issei. Hey, Zora said, making Issei look at her. I saw about Nami's massage, I could use one after this, she said as Issei raised an eyebrow. Okay, Issei said, approaching her. The brunette sat near the green-haired woman, crossing his legs. Okay, come closer, Issei said, and she moved to where he was, turning her back to him. Issei proceeded to give her a massage like he did to Nami. When he touched the woman's shoulders, he felt the firmness of them, making clear his training, but with it, he felt the knots that she had. Apparently she was not one of those who relax in any other way than sleeping. You have to take care of yourself, too much stress can hurt your muscles, and it's bad in the long run, said Issei, starting the massage. She didn't say anything. The brunette started off softly but put more force into relaxing the woman's shoulders. He moved his hands over her shoulders and back, even over her clothes, since he didn't want to bother her or anything like that. Light sighs came out of the woman's mouth. I didn't expect this to get this good. Issei began with a serious massage, focusing on where he felt the most stiffness in the woman's muscles, and at the end. Ha! Zara was surprised that he moaned, but she wasn't embarrassed and let him continue. Seeing that she showed no signs of stopping, he continued, lasting about 5 minutes, massaging the woman who let out moans without any shame, because Jin was totally KO, and they were alone in that place. Ready. Issei said, finishing, as he held Zora when she leaned on his chest, showing a satisfied face. You have dangerous hands. Zora said with a small blush, looking at Issei. You think? Issei said. Why yes. Said Zora, feeling her eyelids heavy. Rest, you deserve it. Said Issei. She eventually fell into Issei's lap, falling asleep. Issei saw her and couldn't help but caress her green hair. How can such a strong woman look so beautiful when she sleeps? I whispered, looking at Zora's peaceful face. He put that aside and just limited himself to stroking the hair of the group swordswoman, watching as dawn was about to arrive. Everything was quiet, silent. Too quiet. Issei said seriously. The brown-haired man took off his shirt and balled it up, using it as a pillow for the woman, and decided to go for a walk to make sure there were no more idiots around. Because I had a bad feeling about all this. Time after. Issei walked through the remains of the city. There were many corpses and several wounded. Everything was a mess. Issei sighed and decided to go back, but something strongly caught his attention. It was Miss Wednesday, who was carrying a badly injured Igaram on a giant duck that was running at great speed. The girl looked scared and nothing about the other guy who accompanied them. The girl looked where Issei was and went straight to the brunette, who stood still looking at her confused. She looked scared and worried, and the duck she was riding looked scared too. When she got close, she screamed. Please help me. That confused him. Did she need help? But the tone used plus her face of terror and concern made him frown. What happened? Issei asked. They, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, are attacking us. They want to kill us. They know who we are, said the blue-haired girl desperately. Issei didn't understand a damn thing, so he did the most sensible thing. Plaffed. Now explain the situation to me in a nutshell, said Issei after slapping the girl who held her cheek. She calmed down from the pain. She wanted to yell at Issei, but it wasn't the time for that. You see, I am a princess, Princess Nefertari Vivi. That surprised the brown-haired boy, especially knowing that she was saying it sincerely. They discovered me and the royal guard Igaram. They want to kill us, since Baroque Works is causing a ruckus in my kingdom, so please help. She had to be taken by Issei, who also took the giant duck and got them out of there. Boom. A powerful explosion occurred where they were standing. Issei left Vivi and the duck a few meters away from the place and looked to see who the culprit was. Kai ha 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 ha, look at them, Mr. 5. It seems the little princess found someone who is going to help her, said a beautiful blonde woman dressed in yellow. She has a good body and beautiful blue eyes, holding an umbrella, and was sitting on some boxes. Next to him was a dark-skinned man with dreadlocks, sunglasses and a full-length long-sleeved trench coat who looked serious. Issei Haidu, 25 million berries, killed Arlong and a navy captain, a member of the Mugi war crew. Mr. 5 commented, looking seriously at the brown-haired boy. And you could be next if you don't leave us alone, said Issei, standing in front of Vivi, who was scared of those two. Kaiahaha, strong words from someone who comes from the weakest sea of all, said Miss Valentine, smiling mockingly. Roger was born and died in said sea, so I don't think he is weak, Issei said calmly. Do you compare yourself to the previous pirate king? Said Mr. 5. A lot of arrogance from someone so young, said the blonde with a mocking smile. Well. And Issei disappeared in a blur of speed and appeared behind the brunette, astonishing them both. Where I come from, I know guys who could sweep away entire countries with ease, and Roger wouldn't reach the level of the strongest man I know, he said, remembering a certain user of the Holy Fist. The brown-haired boy simply gave the dark-haired boy a powerful punch, but boom. An explosion was created after that, and the blonde smiled amusedly. A bad move, said the blonde. Ah. But her partner's cry of pain surprised her. Miss Valentine watched in fear as Issei had his arm pierced through Mr. 5's chest, who could only spit out blood. Bomb man, too bad for you, your explosions are pathetic, said Issei, taking his arm out of the man's chest, who fell on his back. Dead. Kaya. Miss Valentine shouted, seeing that, because she didn't expect her partner to be killed that easily. Issei looked at her and she could only fall on her ass, crawling away from the brunette. Issei looked at Vivi and she was vomiting. It was normal, because he saw someone being killed in cold blood. Issei, listen to this, I'm done. And Nami approached with an injured Igaram, being helped by Luna and an annoyed Zora. The orange-haired girl fell silent when she saw Mr. 5's inert body with blood under it. It seems you already took care of one of them, she commented, looking at the terrified blonde who wanted to cry. Yeah, whatever, what's wrong? Issei asked. Right, listen, we just got hired to take the princess to her country in one piece, so I hope she's okay, Nami said, looking for Vivi with her gaze, only to see her shaking, looking at the brunette. What did you do to her? She asked, looking at him. Nothing, I'm just watching how I turned this guy into a donut," said Issei pointing at Mr. Five's corpse. "Wait, did you kill one of the BW executives quickly?" Igaram asked surprised. "Yes, this bomb guy may be strong, but he depended a lot on his fruit and didn't train his physique much, he couldn't stand the hit I gave him, and well, there's the result," said Issei without giving it much thought. "You know, it's scary how easy it is for you to talk about murder," Nami said. "It's the same as when you extort people," Issei commented, annoying her. "Anyway, I'll go close the contract, you take care of that one there," Nami said pointing at the blonde who was crying silently. Issei sighed and went to the blonde, while Zora and Luna reluctantly took Igaram to Vivi to calm her down. "So, who's your boss?" Issei asked, crouching down in front of Miss Valentine. "MMMR.0. She answered scared. "Okay, and why did they want to kill Vivi?" Issei asked. "I don't know. We're just following orders, that's all," said Miss Valentine, looking down in fear. "I understand, do you know your boss?" Issei asked. "No. But we know her partner, Miss All Sunday. That woman is dangerous and will possibly kill me for giving you this information," said Miss Valentine, more scared. "Okay, calm down, now tell me, why the hell do you all work for a guy you don't know personally?" Issei asked, not understanding that. "It's just that he promised us a utopia where all our dreams would come true," she said. "A utopia, what a pretentious thing," said Issei shaking his head, because that was impossible in many ways. "I know," she said dejectedly. "You must have a very big dream to follow a guy you don't know," said Issei. Yes. But it's ridiculous," said the woman more discouraged. "No dream is ridiculous, well, some are, but only those that are impossible to create," said Issei as she looked at him. I want to be a great chocolatier," said Miss Valentine, still afraid of what was going to happen to her. "Chocolatera, and by killing people you were going to make chocolates?" Issei asked seriously. "And no," said the blonde fearfully. Issei looked at her seriously, she trembled under his gaze and he. Whatever, how good of a cook are you?" Issei asked, since she was confused. She was confused by the question. "Do I speak another language or what? Do you know how to cook?" Issei said with a frown, scaring her. "Yes, I know how to cook, not just bake, I know how to cook decently," said the scared blonde. "Okay, I was thinking about letting you go, but I have no doubt that they will kill you once you leave the island, that's why I'll take you with us, since one more cook isn't a bad idea for the crew, but if you try something weird like poisoning our food, and I swear I'll leave you stranded in the comm belt," said Issei, finishing with a very serious look that scared the blonde. "Yes, I'll be part of your crew, Captain," said the blonde, resigning herself to being a member of the Luna Pirates. "I'm not the captain, and I doubt I won't accept you if you tell Luna that you can prepare desserts for her," said Issei, because the truth is that the blonde had an interesting ability, too bad his friend was a reckless idiot, because if things were different, he would have had another member. "Anyway, come with me, we'll go see what Nami did with the contract," he said as the blonde got up from the ground, cleaning the little dirt she had. "What's your name?" he asked. "Mikita, that's my name." Mikita introduced himself and Issei nodded. "Well then, let's go to Nami now," Issei said with her following him. Issei approached Nami, who was with Vivi, Igaram, Luna and Zora, who became serious when they saw the brunette coming with the blonde. "What is she still doing here?" Nami asked. "Well, she wants to be part of our band, she wants to be the second cook," said Issei, putting the blonde in front of the group since she got nervous. "Are you crazy? She's a murderer," Vivi shouted alarmed. "Yes, I have also killed and here I am, calm down, what's more, as the guy turned into a donut back there asleep," said Issei pointing at Mr. Five's corpse. That left Vivi speechless. "How can you be sure he won't do something to us?" Zora asked, looking seriously at the blonde. "Simple, if I don't kill her, the organization she works for will, so simple, I promise to keep her alive and she will support Sandy-chan as a helper in the kitchen," said Issei with his hands on the shoulders of the nervous woman. "What can she do?" Nami asked. "Besides killing, he knows how to cook desserts." Issei was going to continue telling her that he had an interesting fruit that could be useful for something when Luna cut him off there. "Desserts? Really?" Luna asked, looking at the blonde who nervously nodded. "Why yes, I am a good baker," said Mikita. "Okay, then welcome to the band, so I can eat dessert without asking Sandy for it," said Luna with a huge smile. Mikita stood still. "Just like that? Whatever, but don't think I won't keep an eye on you," said Zora, looking seriously at the blonde. "I hope this isn't a mistake you'll regret later," Nami said, looking seriously at Issei. "Believe me, I have more regrets than all of you together," Issei said calmly, making the orange-haired girl uncomfortable, but she remembered something, what her sister told her about Issei. Anyway, then princess, tell me, what exactly is going on in your kingdom? She asked the blue-haired girl who sighed. And so Vivi began to tell what was happening. She is the princess of the kingdom of Arabasta, one of the ancient kingdoms of the Grand Line, and everything was peaceful until almost 3 years ago. A civil war broke out, which began with inhabitants from various parts of the kingdom starting revolts and fights, until she discovered that Baroque works had something to do with it. In the end, together with Igaram, they infiltrated BW to discover who was the leader of the organization that wants to screw up their country, and in the end she said that the goal of the organization is to conquer Arabasta, and that is why she wants to return, to tell her people that everything is being orchestrated by said organization. And who is the leader of the organization? Issei asked curiously. The boss. Vivi shouted scared, something that worried Makita. I can't tell any of you, you could be in danger. She said, something that surprised the rest. Well, it makes sense, I mean, in the end to conquer a country it has to be someone powerful. Nami said with a smile. Yes, they may be strong, but I doubt they can do anything against Crocodile, one of the Shichibukai. Vivi said as if it were no big deal. Everyone shouted, even Makita. So it's one of those, so forget about the government helping. Said Issei, because in the end he knows about the Shichibukai system since well, these are powerful pirates allied with the navy, who will not get involved in their affairs as part of the deal. You're really taking it easy. Zora commented looking at Issei. Well, Mihik was one thing, but honestly, I've met stronger guys. Said Issei, remembering Vasco Estrada who is able to match Volley in his strongest armor and Mihik, it was obvious who would win. Really? Zora asked. Yes. Issei said. In the end Nami got so alarmed that she was shaking poor Vivi who was apologizing. Makita was scared since she had no idea that Mr. Zero was Crocodile. And one more thing, Issei looked into the distance as the vulture and that otter walked away holding a notebook. Aren't those things the ones I sent to sleep with when I met you? Issei asked Vivi. The princess looked where Issei pointed and was stunned. The unluckies. Makita and Vivi shouted, recognizing the two animal members of BW. I think we're blacklisted by Baroque Works now, Zora said with an amused smile. No. Nami screamed scared. Issei sighed and approached the orange-haired girl, drawing her into a hug, which shocked everyone present, even Nami being taken aback. Calm down, you gain nothing by panicking, I'll take care of you if that's what worries you, I promise Najiko, so calm down. Said Issei, and Nami calmed down, strangely she calmed down, it was weird, but the calm with which Issei said everything calmed her. Really? Nami asked. Sim don't worry. Said Issei separating and giving her a smile that reflected confidence. Nami blushed and said nothing. Okay. She said, she would trust Issei since her sister trusted him to take care of her. Luna didn't understand what was happening, Vivi blushed because of that, Makita thought they were boyfriends and Zora, she simply rolled her eyes. Princess. Igaram spoke and everyone was stunned because she dressed up as Vivi, or at least tried to look like her, and she also had dolls similar to those present, of course without Makita. Give me the eternal pose, I'll be bait so you can take another route to Arabasta. He said seriously. Eternal pose? Nami asked. It's like the log pose, but this one points perpetually towards the designated island. Said Issei, it was good to read about books. In the end Vivi gave him the eternal pose, and Igaram left by getting on the ship and leaving Vivi with him. He left. Vivi said with some regret. Yes, despite everything against him and seeing the danger he is in, he will never stop loving his country, he is a great man. Said Issei watching the ship move away into the distance. But, boom. An explosion where the ship was going left everyone still. They found us. Makita shouted, knowing that this is part of Baroque Works. Go to the ship, I'll go see if he's okay. Said Issei as he spread his wings and headed towards where the ship Igaram was unexploded. Vivi was stunned to see how the boat carrying the man who had taken care of her since she was little had exploded. She thought the worst but she had to stay strong. Vivi, come on, Issei will go see if he is alive. Nami said taking Vivi while the rest went to look for the others. Issei arrived at the site of the explosion, seeing the rest of the ship scattered everywhere, fire and so on. Shit, where are you old man? Issei said, looking for Igaram with his eyes. Ignoring how in the distance someone was moving away riding some kind of giant turtle. It was a futile search, in the end he did not find Igaram, not even when he submerged himself to look for him. Shit. Was the only thing he said to return, he just had to make sure that the man's sacrifice was not in vain. Arabasta had to be saved no matter what. In the end, being a hero even though he is a pirate is his destiny. Moments later. Everyone quickly ran towards the Mary, with Alvita waking up with a bit of a hangover headache, Sandy asking where Issei was while poor Jin and Usopp were dragged by Luna. Hey Luna. What the hell are you doing? Usopp shouted, annoyed at being dragged. Ugh. Poor Jin just moaned in pain because well, he was tired after the big battle. Where's Ice-kun? asked Sandy looking for the boy with her eyes. Also, why are you coming with us? She asked looking at Vivi and Makita. Don't ask and just move your ass. Besides, Issei is looking at something and he'll catch up with us, said Nami, tired of so many questions in the middle of her escape. Sandy snorted and didn't stop, immediately grabbing Zora by the neck as she was going somewhere else. Where are you going, you seaweed head? Shouted Sandy at the green-haired girl's poor orientation. Well, get on board, you perverted cook, said Zora, annoyed. Calm down, we're not here for that, shouted Alvida, who had a bit of an early hangover. Don't get involved in anything that doesn't concern you, you ugly bastard, shouted the blonde and the green-haired girl, bothering the black-haired girl. In the end they reached the Mary. Nami wanted to use the river's tributaries. They quickly escaped the island, but Vivi was looking for Karu, her duck, who was on the boat before. Okay, let's move, said Nami at the helm of the ship. Alvida as she could went and turned on Issei's ship, being that she would support the Mary by pushing it from behind. Phew. Ice kun, said Sandy happy to see him well. What happened to Igaram? Vivi asked, holding back her tears. Issei sighed and just shook his head as she simply bit her lip showing her sadness and frustration. Issei simply hugged her. He understood what it felt like to lose someone, especially if that person had been with you since childhood. Vivi just let herself be hugged, holding back her tears. She had to be strong for Igaram because he wouldn't want her to break down. Hey, why are we leaving the island? This is a good place, let's stay a little longer, said Usopp. True, those damn magpies might have been all over Ice Kun, but I doubt we'll find a place as nice here, Sandy said, swallowing her jealousy as she saw Vivi being hugged by Issei. Ha, Nami, please explain to them, Issei said, stroking Vivi's head as she trembled. Hey, listen. And so Nami began to explain to them about the situation, and now Usopp turned pale with fear when he saw that they almost killed them if it weren't for Zora, Jin and Issei who fought with everyone. But that doesn't explain why she's here, said Sandy looking scathingly at Makita who was nervous. I brought her, you need help if you're going to take care of the crew's food, of course, you'll be supervising that she doesn't do anything strange, and if she does, tell me, and we'll throw her into the sea, said Issei, as Makita turned blue with fear since he knows that Issei is capable of doing it. Well, if you say so, it's fine, Sandy said, accepting just because Issei said so. Whatever, let's go. Issei stopped and looked up at the Mary, becoming serious. Get out of there, he said, confusing everyone. Fufufu, you really have good senses, you managed to find me, said a female voice when a beautiful woman with black hair and fair skin came out from the side wearing a revealing cowgirl outfit and with a slender but voluptuous figure, an attractive woman, no matter how you look at it. It can't be, Miss All Sunday, Makita shouted terrified. But it's Miss Valentina, said Miss All Sunday looking at the blonde who went to hide behind Issei who looked seriously at the woman. But what a serious look, she said with a smile. What the hell are you doing on the boat? Sandy shouted angrily. You better get out of here, Zora threatened, wielding two of his swords. At that several hands came out of the ground near them, pulling them. What the fuck? Said Usopp, scared by that. Wait, what number goes with it? Nami asked nervously. MR.0. Vivi replied looking at the woman. What are you doing in a place like that? She asked. So you work for Crocodile? Said Issei without taking his eyes off the woman. Yes, it was because of her that I ended up discovering the name of her boss, said Vivi behind the brown-haired boy. Well, I let you follow me, said the woman smiling slyly. Usopp quickly aimed at the woman while Jin held his tonfas ready to fight. But just like Sandy and Zora, they were thrown to the ground. I wish they wouldn't point those guns at me, the woman said, but everyone got upset. Then she used the power of her Akuma no Mi to take Luna's hat off, annoying her. Hey, you bitch, give me back my hat, said Luna furiously. She doesn't like anyone she doesn't trust or know to touch her straw hat. So you are the famous Mugiwara no Luna, she said looking at the girl and then looking at Issei. And hi to Issei, two of the strongest pirates who have managed to leave East Blue, the weakest of all seas, she said. The same could be said about you Nico Robin, said Issei as she frowned. I know about you, I wasn't wandering around the Grand Line just out of curiosity, I wanted to know many things, including about the demon girl of O'Hara, he said as Robin gave him a cold look. Wow, you know a lot, Robin said, looking at the brown-haired boy carefully, because he didn't expect this. Knowledge is power, it's that simple, said Issei, as it wasn't a lie, in the end he had to investigate a lot of people, but it was mere curiosity more than anything. Whatever, it's better that you go, don't go and lose a hand, he said, as he wouldn't have mercy on the woman if she tried anything. You talk a lot, she said with an amused smile. But well, you have very bad luck, you carry with you a princess who is in the sights of Baroque works, and with very few pirates, I would feel sad to be you, she said with a mocking smile. This clearly upset the group, but in the end she threw her hat to Luna and stood on top. But the worst of all is that the island where the log pose points, Little Garden, the prehistoric island, will not reach Arabasta. She said, which worried most people. Sure, if we mess with Dory and Brogy. Issei said smiling, he knew about that island and his two giant friends. Oh. Do you know Little Garden and what's there? Robin asked interested. I killed a few dinosaurs, their meat is delicious when you eat it with beer, and even more so with the company of two nice guys. Said Issei smiling as he remembered the days he was on that island. Several insects bit him, and if it weren't for his immunity to human diseases, he would have had a bad time. Although yes, prehistoric mosquitoes did bite hard. Well, it seems you won't need this then. Robin said while holding an eternal pose. An eternal pose? Nami asked. This would take them to an island near Arabasta, so they could skip the whole journey to get there. Said Robin. We don't want him, you killed old Ho-Ho, I hate you. Said Luna angrily, because the woman killed Igaram who she liked after all. What are you saying? Nami shouted angrily. That could be a trap, they are bounty hunters led. Aisha Chibukai, they will not play fair. Issei said seriously. Maybe. Said Robin acting mysterious. Anyway, they didn't send me here to do anything to you, in fact I shouldn't be here in the first place, so I'll see you later. She said jumping on the turtle she came on. Good luck with your journey. You'll need it. She said before leaving the place. That bitch. Said Sandy annoyed. Next time I'm going to chop her up. Said Zora, annoyed by the way she was thrown and held on the ground. Is that place really dangerous? Jin asked, because when he was with Krieg they took another route. Yes, I mean, there are dinosaurs and giant insects, also big animals, I mean, a dangerous place. Said Issei, scaring Nami and Usopp. Ugh, I think I'm about to suffer from the if I go to a prehistoric island I'll die disease. Said Usopp as always. Don't cry, in fact, I will introduce you to two guys who could be your inspiration to be a great warrior of the sea. Said Issei, because he knows that the two giants are great warriors. Really? Usopp asked. Yes. Issei said. In the end, fate was decided and the girls went to take a shower, or well, the three from the Mary bathed there, while Alvida took Makita with her to Issei's ship who was sailing behind the Mary. While Issei was thoughtful, remembering Robin. Did you like the woman? Asked Drake. It's not that, it's just her story, how she became what she is, O'Hara and the Buster Call, all of that seems a bit trite to me, especially coming from the world government. Thought Issei. What he discovered was that she belonged to O'Hara, which was classified as dangerous because they threatened the peace of the world government, but he knows that the news can be easily manipulated and leave those in the Navy as the good guys, so he doesn't trust that. Well, considering how this world is run with those supposed descendants of the gods, it is normal that history is changed in their favor. Said Drake. Yes. But well, I don't gain anything by thinking about that, for the moment we have to take Vivi to her country and see how to help. Said Issei. Being the hero again, it seems it is your destiny to be one. Said Drake. I'm not a hero Drake, I'm not. Said Issei, even though Drake didn't say anything else, because in the end he knows why he says it. 2 days later. You honestly surprise me, this is delicious. Said Issei eating a cheesecake that Makita made. Really? Thanks. Makita said smiling. Something that Issei noticed is that she is happy when people praise her desserts. It seems that she takes it very hard when things don't turn out well or people insult her cooking, because she had to separate her and Sandy when the one with curly eyebrows spit out some chocolate that she made and told her that it tasted like shit. At least he didn't try to poison us. Said Alvida sitting in the chair next to Issei, very close to him while eating a piece of cake. HMP, I said I wasn't going to do that, and I wouldn't use my baking for something so vile, that's what I use my body for Kai haha. Said Makita laughing amused at the end. And I believe you, thanks to you I have advanced in my training. Said Issei, as he has made her sit on his back or carry her to help him with the weights, being that thanks to her, he has managed to hold the 10 tons well with pure strength. Makita, I want more cake. Was Luna's cry. Ha, she does eat a lot. Said Makita. And she doesn't gain weight. Said Alvida with some envy, because she will always look very good because of her fruit, but if it weren't for that and she did what Luna does, she would be as good as a whale, and she didn't want that. You better go, because Luna can go crazy if you don't give her food. Said Issei. Ha, I know. Said Makita taking his parasol to reduce its weight and rise up to the Mary. He sure adapted quickly. Said Alvida. I think she liked being in the crew more than having to do things right in that organization. Said Issei eating his cake. And she is a very good cook, not like Sandy, but good. He said. So. Alvida lay down on her side taking advantage of the proximity of the beach chairs and stuck to the brown-haired boy who did nothing to stop her. To make you fall in love with her do I need to be a good cook? She asked caressing his chest while she threw her leg over him. Not exactly. Issei said looking at her. I'm a guy with simple tastes, as long as the girl loves me sincerely, I wouldn't mind trying something. He said just to sigh and look at the blue sky. But for the moment, I don't feel ready to start a relationship. He said, being that she was intrigued by that. Did your old girlfriend leave you? I asked curiously. That would have been better. No, she simply died. Said Issei as the woman remained silent. I'm sorry, it wasn't my intention to remember that. Said Alvida, because she may want to start something with Issei, but knowing that she better calm down, it will give her time, because time helps to overcome this type of problems. No, don't worry, you didn't know, so don't apologize. Said Issei, stroking the woman's head, who closed her eyes, enjoying the caress. In the end she remained in that position, curled up next to Issei, who simply enjoyed the moment. Until. What the hell? It was Sandy who looked out to tell Issei that they already had an island in sight. Damn opportunist, that's playing dirty. She said, annoyed, jumping onto the deck of Issei's ship. HMP, get in line you idiot, I'm going first. Alvida said, hugging Issei, pressing his head against her breasts. It's not fair, I also want to have quality time with Ice-kun. Said Sandy as she threw herself on top of Issei, who caught her, leaving her on top of the brunette, pressing her breasts against his chest. Come on Ice-kun, don't be naughty and also pamper me. She said with her face on Issei's neck, inhaling his scent. What a delicious cologne. She said. Issei blushed. This kind of situation was happening again, and he knows why. Well, he understands it because of Alvida, since she made it clear to him, but I don't expect that from Sandy, but it might pass later. Hey you guys, stop doing that and pay attention, we're arriving at the island. Nami shouted from the edge of the boat. Issei just raised his finger because the truth is that he felt comfortable with Sandy on top of him and Alvida by his side. Nami rolled her eyes and said something about womanizing guys and not knowing what her sister saw in her. Well, Vivi blushed because she didn't expect to see that kind of situation in this place. And so the crew arrived at their second island in the Grand Line. Little Garden. Moments later. Little Garden. The group managed to get close to the island, and upon seeing it they were surprised by who greeted them. Ugh, this place never ceases to amaze me. Issei commented, watching everything from the deck of his ship. You were here before you found me, right? Alvida asked. Yes, I spent a few days here and then decided to return to East Blue. Issei said calmly. Then you must tell us what to do and what not to do. Said Nami, seeing that Issei has more knowledge of the place than all of them. Simple, stay away from purple plants with red pistils, those things spit poisonous spores. Also, if you see a vine moving, stay away, since it is a snake and poisonous. Do not look too far into the river, since a giant piranha could eat your face. And so Issei began to tell one by one the things that could happen to them on the island. Being a lot, scaring Nami, Usopp and Vivi. And finally, if you see a fruit that looks like a mango but has red spots, do not eat it, it is poisonous for you. It gave me diarrhea only since I am immune to poison. He said, frowning as he remembered that fruit. It was delicious, but it was worse than a laxative. What if we just leave? Asked Usopp, laughing. Nervously. Don't cry, that way you won't become a fierce warrior of the seven seas. Said Issei, giving him a slap. But this island is a dangerous area. Said Nami, annoyed. The sea is a place full of dangers, and now you complain about this? Issei asked. I want to go explode. Said Luna, smiling. Ice-kun, is there any animal that is good to eat? Sandy asked, interested in some animal. Dinosaurs, their meat can be eaten and it's good. Said Issei, licking his lips, because he remembers the T-Rex he ate when he was here. Then let's say no more, let's explore the island. Said Luna, smiling excitedly. Well, we can see what we find and make it edible. Said Sandy, supporting the idea. Boom. What was that? Usopp shouted in fear. Possibly the volcano. Issei said calmly. Sailing down the river that crosses the island, they saw a huge dead tiger. How can you kill an animal of that size? Nami asked, scared. Simple, that tiger was barely young, there are even bigger ones. Said Issei. This place is totally dangerous. Said Usopp. Issei rolled his eyes, but he understands, if he wasn't strong he would feel the same as him right now. At that point a kind of roar was heard in the sky. Now what? Nami shouted, looking everywhere. Look. Issei said, pointing to the sky. There was some kind of flying reptile with feathers. Can we eat that? Asked Luna, thinking with her belly. Yes. Was the only thing Issei said. It's decided, Sandy, a lunchbox. Said Luna, jumping excitedly, looking at the blonde. A lunchbox? Sure. Said Sandy, as she was interested in what ingredients she could find. I smell adventures. Luna said with the brightest smile she can give. Wait right there. Where do you think you're going? The orange-haired girl shouted angrily. Let's go on an adventure, shishishi. Said Luna, smiling with her arms crossed. In the end Luna decided to go exploring. Since Vivi joined her with Karu, it was so that she could distract herself at least a little from the problems that are happening in her kingdom. Do you think they're okay? Alvida asked. Yes. Issei said. And what are we going to do? Asked Makita, because the truth is there is not much to do but wait. I'll go for a walk. Said Zora, yawning. I would tell you not to get lost, but I feel like it's a waste of time. Said Issei, and she simply ignored him. Hey Zora, if you see any good animals, cut them up and bring them here to cook. Said Sandy from the kitchen. Yes, I will do it since you can't do it yourself. Said the green-haired girl, bothering the blonde. In the end, the two of them went on a kind of competition to see who could hunt the most animals. Do you think it was a good idea to let her go alone? Jin asked, watching in disbelief as the two women each went their separate ways. Yes, they are already big enough to know how to take care of themselves. Said Issei. And you're not going to leave like the others? Nami asked, although she didn't want him to leave. No, I've had enough of this island. Said Issei as Nami and Usopp sighed. But well, since we have plenty of time, Usopp, Jin, on the ground, give me 1,000 push-ups. He said seriously. Really? Usopp asked, sweating profusely. Do you look at me like I'm joking? Issei asked very seriously, making the big nose nervous. The boy immediately started doing push-ups with Jin at his side. Nami sighed and sat on the floor. Why are you so worried? Issei asked. It's just that. This place is dangerous and everyone just went wandering around like nothing happened. She said. Stop crying, you knew what you were getting into by being a navigator of this crew, so calm down and nothing will happen to you while you're with those girls and Ice. Said Alvida sitting on a chair she brought from Issei's ship. Honestly, this is crazy. How can they calmly walk around this island? Even Issei said it was full of dangers. Nami said frustrated. Well, it's not like we're in a calm situation. I mean, we're taking a princess with us to a country where war might possibly break out. Said Issei leaning on Mary's railing. Don't remind me. Said Nami knowing that it is against a Shichibukai that they will face. By the way Makita, is there anyone else we should keep in mind? Issei asked looking at the blonde who sat on a chair. Well, there are members from MR1 to MR4 with their respective partners and possibly the organization will send one of them to finish off the princess. Said Makita, because he knows how the organization works and even more so when the unluckies had their faces. Issei paid attention to that. Then we have to see that those idiots don't do something. Said Issei. In that. Crack. The sound of leaves being moved and then loud footsteps alarmed everyone. Something's coming. Nami said scared. Then something emerged from the darkness. No, someone huge. Brogy. Issei shouted with a smile. Oh, but it's you, how are you, friend? Asked the giant Brogy, smiling when he recognized the brown-haired boy. This surprised Nami and Usopp. Is he one of the giants you said you had as friends? Alvida asked, looking at Brogy, surprised and somewhat frightened. Yes, he is Brogy, a warrior from Elbaf, the kingdom of the giants. Said Issei smiling. Nami was amazed and scared, but Usopp looked at him in wonder. It's huge. Said Jin, who looked at a giant for the first time. What brings you here, my little friend? Have you already found that reason for being? Asked Brogy, sitting down, causing a strong jolt. Reason for being? Makita asked looking at Issei. Something like that, I will help all my friends achieve their goals. Said Issei looking at the giant. Helping your friends, a noble motive. Said Brogy nodding. By the way, do you happen to have any liquor? I asked. Yes, wait for me a little bit. Said Issei walking until he jumped onto his ship to go get some barrels of liquor. So you're the little one's friends? Brogy asked. Yes, although I am going to be his wife. Said Alvida, sticking out her chest. That freaked everyone out. If Sandy heard you, there would be hell to pay. Said Jin. Gaga, that little guy really doesn't waste any time. Said Brogy amused. Usopp took a breath and moved a little closer. Excuse me, Ice told me that you are strong warriors, is that true? Asked Usopp. Of course, we giants of Elbaf are the fiercest warriors of the seas. Said Brogy proudly. Usopp was amazed, he wanted to be a fierce warrior, and before him he has one. And here it is. Said Issei arriving carrying 2 barrels of beer. Great, now we just need to find the food. Said Brogy looking around. I think the food is coming here. Said Issei pointing at a Tyrannosaurus. Brogy smiled and grabbed his axe to give a powerful swing that cut off half the dinosaur's body and knocked down several trees. Woo! Usopp shouted. But how powerful? Said Jin surprised. Okay, I have the liquor and the food, do you want to join me? Brogy asked smiling. Sure, why not? Issei said to see the rest. What do they say? He asked. Well, it's not like we have anything to do anyway. Alvida said. Yeah, that way we can distract ourselves for a while. Said Jin. Will it be safe to leave the boats here? Nami asked. I don't think anyone will pass by here and if they do don't worry, I'll know when the ships are in trouble. Said Issei. Well, then let's go eat. said Usopp smiling as he wants to learn more about the giant and his culture. And so the group descended from the Mary to walk behind Brogy. 1 hour later. And then the biggest fish on the island emerged wanting to eat it, but the little one launched a powerful ray of energy that killed it. Brogy recounted what he saw when Issei killed the big fish. The 3 women and 2 men looked at the brown-haired boy who was happily eating a large piece of dinosaur that Brogy had roasted. Do you do that kind of attacks? Usopp asked excitedly. Why the hell, I'm not surprised to hear that. Jin said sighing. Yes, but only when necessary. If I go too far I could destroy an entire island, said Issei, surprising everyone. Is it part of your Akuma no Mi? Nami asked. Yeah, said Issei as the orange-haired girl looked at him suspiciously. Makita was surprised. That means she could have easily killed them all along. Ha, I expected that from someone like you, Alvida commented smiling. Anyway, do you know how long it takes for a log post to calibrate to the next island? Nami asked the giant. 1 year, said Brogy. EHHH. Both she and Usopp were surprised. Wow, that's a long time, Issei said. No way, we'll just have to wait then, said Jin, resigning himself to waiting. Yes, so make yourselves comfortable, Gabababa, said the giant and then laughed. Nami and Usopp began to despair, not expecting it to be this long. Well, it's normal for this type of island, Makita commented. Will we have to live here? Alvida asked, not wanting to stay here for a year. Although if it was with Issei she would tolerate it. Calm down, okay? Issei said to the scared duo. How do you expect us to calm down? We'll be stranded on this island for a year. Nami shouted, shaking the brown-haired boy. It's Luna's fault that I don't accept the eternal pose that woman with the hat gave her. Usopp shouted angrily. Ha, despairing won't achieve anything either, so calm down and enjoy your food, Issei said calmly. You're very relaxed for a situation like this, Makita commented, looking at the brown-haired boy who just shrugged. I think we should start setting up camp. Anyway, I asked to sleep with ice, said Alvida smiling, looking at the brown-haired boy who looked at her and sighed with an amused smile. That intrigued Makita, but he pushed it aside. Nami looked at Issei annoyed. How could he be calm in this kind of situation? Wait, you can fly, can't you take us to another island quickly? Asked Usopp, remembering that. Yes, I can fly, but I don't orient myself well in the sea. Literally on my first trip I got lost, and if it weren't for the fact that I reached the calm belt, I wouldn't have had anything to eat, said Issei with a poker face, because this damn sea is too much even for him, and it was pure luck to reach dry land. This further depressed the duo, who cried knowing that they would be stuck here for a year. Brum. Huh? That caught Nami's attention. Oh, it's time, Issei said. Time? Time of what? Alvida asked, confused. Gabababab. Brogy stood up, scaring the 2 normal members of the group. Well, I'll leave you, I have some business to attend to, said the giant. How many are there so far? Issei asked. About 100 more, but they were all draws. Gabababa again. Brogy laughed amused. I imagine, anyway, good luck friend, said Issei. Gabababa, you should tell that to Dory, I'll surely beat him today, said Brogy confidently. That's what they both told me and in the end they tied, said Issei. The giant just walked away laughing. I feel like something dangerous is going to happen, Jin commented. Are they going to fight? Usopp asked, interested. Yes, this is going to get a little murky, so Makita, please increase your body mass to the maximum and have Alvida, Jin, Nami and Usopp lean on you, or else they will fly away, said Issei, alarming those mentioned. Why do that? Alvida asked. Just do it, that will answer itself, said Issei, crossing his arms and looking in the direction where Brogy left. The group was confused, but if Issei said it was necessary, after all he already knew them before. Makita increased her body mass to the point where a crater was created beneath her, with Nami and Alvida holding onto her arms, while Usopp and Jin took her by the shoulders. Issei just stood there near them in the same position and then. Bam. Phew. A loud bang was heard and then a powerful shock wave caused a current of air that surprised the group. The solid sound of blows and clash of swords resonated throughout the place, and Usopp imagined the fight, because even though it couldn't be seen, it sounded epic, making him want to be a great warrior like them even more. After almost an hour everything calmed down, and the group sighed in relief, except for Issei, he was calm. They are strong, Nami said nervously, because those giants could obviously kill Arlong with a single blow. Strong is an understatement, one of those attacks could sink a fleet of ships, said Jin, amazed and terrified. Great. They are strong and great. I want to be like them one day, said Usopp, more and more motivated. Are you crazy? Jin asked, not believing what the big nose said. If you fought against them, would you win? Alvida asked the brown-haired boy. Well, as I am I would barely give them a fight, but more so because I'm fast, and if they let me do an attack like the one Brogy told you about, but from there on no, they are physically stronger than me," said Issei calmly. "Unless of course you go ahead and use the armor," said Drake. "But you could be just as strong as them if you wanted to," Makita said. "Maybe, it's all a matter of training," said Issei, as he knows that his strength will grow to the point where he could be stronger than Drake at his peak. After a while, Brogy's footsteps were heard returning, looking hurt but with his jovial smile. "Another tie?" Issei asked. "Yes, Gabababa," said the giant laughing and sitting in his previous place. Hours later. Everything was quiet. Nami was already calm, knowing that Brogy was not a bad person, while Usopp was happily talking to the giant. Issei for his part walked away, he had something to do. "Where are you going?" asked Alvida who was behind him. "I'm going to visit Makino," Issei said calmly. "Are you going to Kakeashi from here?" Alvida asked surprised. "Yes, I have my methods, it won't take that long, at most 2 or 3 hours, as long as you stay with them, and I leave the ship in charge, don't let Luna get off and drink all the soda," Issei said calmly. Alvida watched him walk away among the trees, disappearing after a few seconds. "Ha, this boy," she said sighing. "Where did he go?" Makita asked, approaching the brunette. "He said he was going to rest, he doesn't want to be disturbed," Alvida said lying. "Oh, I see," Makita said, not giving it much thought. The two returned to Usopp and Nami to hear Brogy's anecdotes from when he was still a pirate alongside his friend, rival Dory. Not knowing that things were about to get out of hand. 2 hours later. Same Kakeashi. "I'm still surprised that you teleport with those weird circles," said Najiko sitting next to Issei on the porch of her house. "Haha, it's magic," Issei said smiling. "Anyway, I'm glad to hear that things have gone well for you since you left East Blue. Although getting involved in a country's war is a bit worrying," Najiko said with a sigh. "If it's because of Nami, don't worry, I'll keep her safe," said Issei while drinking a tangerine juice that was previously made by Najiko. "I'll owe you a favor if you do that, she tends to be too bold at times, and I have no doubt she'll get into trouble," said Najiko smiling nostalgically. "I can imagine," Issei said. "At least I know she's in trustworthy hands," Najiko said, looking at Issei with a smile. "Am I that reliable?" Issei asked without seeing her, focusing his gaze on the distance. "Yes, in the end you are the hero of the island even if you don't accept it, you help Nami and me eliminate a pain from the past, that's why I trust that she is safe near you," said Najiko with a smile. "You look like a mother handing her daughter over to her boyfriend," Issei said amused. Are you not happy with me that you love my sister too?" Najiko asked playfully. Cough. Cough cough. Issei began to cough up the juice at such words. That made Najiko laugh. Issei looked at her surprised and blushed. "What are you talking about?" Issei asked embarrassed. "What do you think?" she asked amused. "We barely know each other for you to be saying that," said Issei. "A lady's heart is mysterious, for some it takes time, and for others a simple glance is enough," said Najiko smiling. Issei was surprised, but smiled, although not in a happy way. "Ha, Najiko, you flatter me, but I don't think it's right," Issei said, standing up and confusing the woman. "Why do you say that?" Najiko asked. "Do you remember when you found me?" Issei asked. "Yes, that dragon from that gem told me your situation," said Najiko confused. "What does that have to do with what I told you?" she asked. Issei took a few steps forward, followed by Najiko's gaze. "Well, the truth is, I'm telling you this because I trust you since you also helped me before," said Issei turning to look at her as he took out his wings, but his arms were covered in scales and his eyes turned green, surprising the woman. "As you see, I'm not human, I'm a dragon, a real one, and as such I'm destined to live longer than a normal human," he said returning to normal. "So?" Najiko said, surprised and dismayed. "It couldn't be since I will continue and you will leave one day, I don't think I can bear another loss," said Issei sighing. That surprised Najiko, she knows that she and Nami know about Issei's dragon, but she didn't expect Issei himself to be a dragon, since she thought he was an Akuma no Mi user. "But what about Alvida?" Najiko asked. I know she feels the same as you, but even if I want to reciprocate, it's hard for me to take the step because of that very thing. Sometimes I spend sleepless nights thinking about that future where all my friends die and I'm left alone in a world that isn't mine," said Issei, surprising Najiko even more. "Huh?" She was stunned. "Anyway, it's time for me to go back," Issei said smiling at her. "It was good to see you, we'll see each other later," he said ready to leave using a magic circle, but Najiko acted quickly and threw herself at him. Issei was surprised and caught her so she wouldn't fall, and his eyes opened wide when he felt the woman's lips on his again in a kiss. After 2 minutes of unconsciously reciprocating, she pulled away, looking him in the eyes. "And you have to come back, you have to tell me many things," said Nijiko, smiling slightly. Issei sighed, he didn't expect that, but he smiled. "If you want, then I'll go, see you," said Issei, now preparing the magic circle. "Sure, see you, say hello to Nami for me," Nijiko said, smiling. "I'll do that," Issei said, disappearing into a magic circle. She was left alone again, sitting in the rocking chair watching the city from afar. "Fool," she said, smiling. "Does Issei think she will forget him easily? Well, let her continue doing it, she has already decided, and there is no one who can make her change her mind." Moments later. Little garden. Issei appeared in the same place where he left and came back to look for them all. "He was only gone for a few hours, I didn't really give it much thought, they must be watching Dori and Broji fight again. But what the hell?" said Issei, seeing how in the middle of the huge clearing where Broji camps there was some kind of strange white thing that was spinning. But that wasn't the problem was those who were caught up in it. They were Nami, Zora and Vivi, while Jin, Alvida and Makita were lying severely injured on the ground near that thing, plus Broji was also lying on the floor totally injured. Plus he saw Luna standing stunned in front of that candelabra. Ice," said Alvida, watching the boy arrive. Issei frowned and looked around for the person responsible. "When I look at the guy there, he looks weird, he has a nerdy appearance with a 3 as a hairstyle. And glasses." Near him was a red-haired girl wearing a hat and holding a palette with a brush. "Issei. It's good that you're here, they attacked us and they want to take the giants," shouted Usopp, who was hiding somewhat far away. Issei frowned deeper and looked at the duo. "I see that you have more companions, but it doesn't matter, you will still fall before me," said the guy with the strange hairstyle with confidence. Issei didn't say anything, he simply walked towards the subject as he lit up on fire. That surprised the man. "It can't be possible, the user of the fire fruit is still alive," said the subject somewhat nervously. Issei moved quickly, appearing before the frightened being. "It's time to fly," said Issei, punching him in the stomach that made him fly away from there. The girl was still, she was scared when she saw him move quickly towards his partner. Issei looked at her seriously, scaring her even more. "Tell me, girl, what power does that guy have?" I asked seriously. His fruit made him able to create wax," said the girl, falling on her ass scared. Issei, understanding what it was, approached the wax candlestick. Issei further ignited his body, causing a heat wave that began to melt the wax structure. Shortly after, those who were trapped in the structure fell and Issei went to catch them. "Cough cough, shit," complained Zora, catching her breath after almost being suffocated by being encased in wax. Nami and Vivi were the most affected by not being, well, fighters. Issei approached them and helped them stand up. "Can you still continue?" Issei asked. Where were you?" Nami asked, somewhat annoyed. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you, but well, I think we have to take care of that guy," said Issei, seeing the guy with the 3-shaped hair getting up in pain. "Cough cough cough, where did this guy come from?" Mr.3 said to himself, looking at the brown-haired boy. Issei did not respond, he advanced towards the subject who, seeing the brown-haired boy approaching, decided to attack. Mr. 3 created a wave of wax in order to catch the brown-haired boy, but he jumped before being swallowed by the wave and kicked the Baroque Works agent, sending him flying and destroying several palm trees. "Ugh," Mr. 3 complained as he felt the tremendous headache caused by that kick. Issei left the subject to focus on his friends. "Can they move?" Issei asked. "Yeah. I think so," said Jin, who was beaten up. "Everything hurts," Usopp said. "Ugh, that damn man can't see," Luna complained, cleaning her tongue as some wax got into her mouth. "Hey, where's Sandy?" Issei asked. "That pervert got lost in the jungle," said Zora, cracking his bones. "Well, then I'll take care of this guy and his partner and then regroup to heal the wounds of those who are hurt," Issei said to his friends. They all agreed because the confrontation with Mr. 3 left them completely crushed. "Ah, damn it, I'm going to destroy you," shouted Mr. 3, appearing inside a kind of wax robot. Issei sighed, blew out a small flame, then blew out a tongue of fire, and then Graya, throwing a powerful flamethrower that covered the man. Burn, 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 ai. And poor Mr. 3 was consumed by the flames while his suit melted. The girl was going to leave completely scared, but she didn't count on Karu, who chased her and started pecking her. "Okay, put, it's over," Issei said, wiping his hands. "Are you going to leave it like that?" Nami asked. "Yes, they won't bother us again," Issei said calmly as he approached Alvida. "But you killed the other guy," said Usopp. "Oh, that guy drove me crazy," Issei said. "Whatever, help us, you're the only one who's unharmed," said Nami, sitting on the floor completely in pain. "Of course," Issei said, approaching the group with a set of bandages and other medical items that he took out of his dimensional space. Issei began to help everyone, putting bandages on them and disinfecting their wounds. Something basic. We'll need a doctor. Issei commented. Yes, we need an expert to heal us in case we can't do it ourselves, said Jin. But where will we find someone capable? Asked Usopp. I don't know, but we'll find someone, said Issei, putting a bandage on Vivi. Okay, just don't move too much and it will heal well, he said. Thank you. The blue-haired girl thanked. This is crap, this organization has us in its sights, and if we continue like this, they will end up killing us, said Alvida pessimistically. And we can't always count on ice, we have to become strong, said Zora. We have to train a lot, Luna said with determination. Well, then since we'll have to wait a while on this island while the log pose recalibrates, let's train, Issei said seriously. Ugh, not me, said Usopp, throwing himself to the ground. Didn't you say that you wanted to become strong? Well, this is the moment. I didn't become strong just like that. I had several teachers who taught me, through tears, sweat and blood, how to become strong, Issei said seriously. I could start now, said Zora. No, rest, you're overdoing it with your training, said Issei. I don't need that, I'm the navigator, said Nami. No, you have to be strong, so at least you can defend yourself in a dangerous situation, Issei said seriously. We will all train, but not now, Baroque Works still has strong members, MR.3 and MR.5 were nothing compared to them, said Makita. Any information you can give us? Issei asked the blonde. Something, although it's not much, because the other agents are cautious with their ways of fighting, said the blonde. Any bit of information is worth it, what matters is to be prepared for any event, said Issei. And so while everyone was recovering, Issei left Mr. 3 and Miss Gildenweek stranded in a little boat in the middle of nowhere. The blonde former member of Baroque Works told them about the strongest members of the organization apart from them. The main agents apart from MR.3 and the deceased MR.5 were the following. Mr. 4 and Miss Merry Christmas, the subject being someone dumb but physically powerful, in addition to being a great hitter and uses a 4-ton bat easily, that being important given that he has a cannon that the Inu ate that turned him into a dog cannon that throws explosive balls that he hits with great aim against his enemies. Well, Miss Merry Christmas has the Mogu Mogu no Mi, which turns her into a mole woman whose danger consists of creating huge holes underground that if used precisely could sink entire cities. Then there's Mr. 2, without a partner. And Akama, who is also strong and possesses the main no Mi that makes him an imitator man, who when touching someone can physically transform into that person, and what makes him even more dangerous is his combat style that is similar to Sandy's, as he uses kicks, although ballet is something that predominates in him. And finally the most dangerous duo before the boss. Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger. The first was a bounty hunter who has the Supa Supa no Mi that turns any part of his body into sharp blades, being strong and lethal when fulfilling his duty. And his companion has the Toj Toj no Mi, which turns any part of his body into dangerous spikes that can pierce hard rocks with ease, and also has an alibi under the alias of Paula in an establishment called Spider Cafe. And at the end there is Mr. 0, who now knows that he is the Shichibukai Crocodile, and Miss All Sunday, who is the infamous demon girl Nico Robin. Now, are you telling me that you talked to Crocodile? Issei asked Sandy, who was preparing a big meal for everyone. Yes, I came across a strange house made of wax and a den mushy playing, so I lied to him, pretending to be the partner of that Mr. 3 guy, and then that bird and that otter arrived and I removed the eternal pose that marks Arabasta from them, said Sandy, telling what she experienced before arriving with them. And that's great, with this we have the way to get to Arabasta without any setbacks, said Vivi, happy that they had the way to get to her kingdom quickly. Yes, with this we will not spend more time on this dangerous island. No offense, Nami said to the two giants. Gabba Baba, don't worry, we know that this environment is not so friendly to your kind, said Brogy. And thank you for helping us, you really left us in a bad way, Dory commented. Don't worry, they are friends and as such, I wouldn't let them die even if the government sent them to be captured, said Issei, smiling at the two giants. By the way, your Marima, did you forget the hunting tournament? Asked Sandy, bothering Zora, who had several bandages on her body. Fuck you, Hero Cook, we had more important matters than a stupid hunting competition, Zora said, annoyed. True, but she brought a huge rhinoceros, Luna commented. Huh? A rhinoceros? Is that even edible? Usopp asked. I don't know, probably yes or no, said Jin, taking some liquor. Anyway, we must leave immediately, Arabasta will not be saved alone, said Issei, standing up. Yes, well, Mr. Round and Mr. Giant, we are leaving now, said Luna, standing up and saying goodbye to the giants. Sure, have a good trip, said Dory. It's a shame they're leaving so soon, but I hope your country is saved, Brogy commented, seeing Vivi at the end. So the group began to walk away with Sandy and Zora fighting over who hunted the biggest animal. Stop fighting, I'm not participating, but months ago I killed a sea monster that could easily swallow entire islands, said Issei, leaving the two silent. Are you serious? Makita asked. Yes, even Broji and Dori were surprised when they saw me do it, in fact it was before I met Alvida, said Issei. But I still beat this perverted blonde, said Zora. In your dreams, seaweed head, I win, said Sandy. And they went back to the same thing. Don't these girls get tired of fighting? Said Alvida. Snorting. Leave them, they understand each other, said Issei, dismissing the discussion. Finally they reached their ships, everyone was fine, and on one side of the Mary were a huge rhinoceros and a large dinosaur, but both were the same size, and that caused more dispute between the two women. Stop fighting and just cut what is necessary for the trip, we can't take you on both ships, said Nami. In the end they did that, or well, Zora since she was the fastest at cutting. After that they boarded the boats and followed the canal that runs through the island to the other end, which was where they had to continue. Well, now it's time to wait for the radical climate changes and move on, said Nami, leaving time and letting out a sigh while touching her forehead when sweat ran down it. Ha, I feel tired, she commented. You should rest, Issei said approaching her. Yes, I think it's for the best, said Nami when suddenly she staggered and almost fell if it weren't for Issei. I think I should go to my room, she said starting to breathe heavily. Issei felt it, as soon as he held her he felt like her body was too hot to a worrying point. There is no hot weather, there is not much sun, and the breeze is cool. Shit, guys, Nami is sick, Issei shouted worriedly while carrying Nami who was beginning to breathe heavily. This of course caught everyone's attention, as they approached and looked with concern at Nami who didn't look well at all. What happened to him? Vivi asked. I don't know, suddenly she got a very high fever and almost fell down, said Issei walking towards Nami's room. High fever. But he was fine a little while ago, Makita commented. Yes, but she isn't anymore, and this could be something serious, said Issei entering the room that Nami occupies in the Mary and that she now shares with Vivi. He went and put her in bed to start looking for things to help her stay cool. Whatever the reason is, we need to find a doctor and the only place that could be viable is Drum Island, he said. Drum Island? The one in the Drum Kingdom? Vivi asked. Yes, I heard that before the king ran away all the doctors, but there is still one who is the best doctor and could treat Nami, said Issei with a wet cloth with cold water that he placed on Nami's forehead, who was grimacing from the pain she felt. Have you been there before? Sandy asked. No, but I heard about it before leaving the Grand Line, it's the only alternative we have if we want to know what happened to Nami, said Issei looking at Nami. He promised Najiko that he would take care of her, and that's what he will do. And what are we waiting for? We have to go there, said Luna, because Nami is a precious Nakama and she doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. But how will we get there? Nami is the only one capable of guiding us in this sea of crazies, Jin commented. True, I can barely locate myself in the sea, and I arrived at Little Garden by pure luck, Issei commented. At that Nami opened her eyes and sat up in bed. Hey, stay lying down, you're not okay, Issei said, returning her to her place. No. I'm fine. This is nothing, Nami said trying to stand up, but Issei looked at her seriously. I said no, I know when someone is not well, and having such a high temperature is not normal, so lie down, said Issei making it clear that there is no excuse. Nami saw that and couldn't help but sigh. So, please, move the ships to the south, she said. Issei looked at her, started to think and remembered that she was an expert at this so he left quickly. You heard her, move the ships to the south, said Issei as he headed to his ship. Sandy, Zora, Jin and Usopp also left, as they would move the Mary since if Nami says it, it is because she is serious. After doing that and with the ships following the course that Nami gave them, they managed to see how in the distance the weather changed and a huge cyclone appeared in the direction where they were almost going. Nami is certainly an expert when it comes to knowing the weather, Issei said. I'm surprised how good she is, not even the best navigators or meteorologists could predict a cyclone like that, commented Alvida who was recently driving Issei's ship. Anyway, where are we going now? She asked knowing Nami's situation. We have to go to Drum, it's the only option we have if we want Nami to heal, Issei said seriously. You really care about that girl? Alvida commented with some jealousy in her voice. Well, Najiko entrusted me with taking care of her knowing the dangers we will experience as pirates, so it is normal that I worry about her, although in fact I worry about everyone, Issei said calmly. Alvida looked at him for a few moments and couldn't help but smile. Hey Ice, we're going straight ahead, Usopp shouted from the Mary. Of course, Issei said. And so the crew's journey continued its course, although now Vivi knows that the situation in her kingdom is getting worse as the days go by. Now they have to cure Nami, and as Issei said, Drum is the only viable place for that. And so the Mugiwara journey continues. The next day. The group arrived at a cold area, as the climate was freezing, as if it were a polar zone in the words of Issei. Nami is still the same, even though the brunette spent the night awake taking care of her. Sure, Vivi and Sandy helped clean her up and all that, but the brunette stayed up all night in case she needed something or her condition worsened. Nami was grateful for that, as she didn't expect Issei to be like that for her. It was a great gesture on his part. Now. Issei was sitting next to the bed of a convalescent Nami. He spent several hours with her, having to leave only to help with the handling of the Mary, or to train those he needs to train. The brown-haired boy took the cloth that the girl had on her forehead and changed it for a cold one. Her fever hadn't gone up or down, but it's not like having a very high fever is normal either. Ha. Issei sighed, getting up from his seat and heading for the exit. Vivi opened the door and entered, followed by Karu. Is it getting worse? Vivi asked worriedly. No, but if it continues like this it could be fatal, said Issei passing by the blue-haired girl. Vivi was very worried since she came in to spend some time with a girl who managed to become her friend in such a short time. Issei went out to the deck of the Mary. There he saw Zora sitting looking at the wound she got in the fight against Mr. 3. He also saw Usopp preparing his bombs, while Jin was practicing with his tonfas. Here. The one who said that was Sandy, who was next to Issei with a tray with some tangerine juice. Thank you. Issei said, taking the glass of juice. We need to find an island quickly. Nami can't continue like this, said Sandy, because even though she doesn't get along with the girl, she is a friend after all, as well as being a crucial part of the crew. I hope we can at least find a doctor, like what happened with Crocus at the entrance of the Grand Line, said Issei. You're very worried about her? Sandy commented, somewhat jealous. I'm worried about everyone. It may seem like a joke, but in these few days that we've been together, I've come to like them enough to worry about everyone's well-being, said Issei without looking at the blonde, just looking forward. Besides, I promised to take care of Nami. Najiko wouldn't forgive me if she knew that she died without even achieving her goal, he said. Sandy was surprised. It seemed that Issei wanted to be faithful to his word, which made her smile delightedly. Hey, is it just me or is someone standing on the sea? The one who asked that was Jin, who stopped training and looked at something that caught his attention. Huh? Standing on the sea? Asked Luna, going straight to her seat to get a better look. Everyone approached, except Zora. She was still doing her thing. It's true, it's… Usopp put on his binoculars to see better. Jester? Issei said, confused. The Mary approached, facing the subject, who was dressed as a jester. It's cold. The jester commented with a bored face. True, a little, said Usopp, still confused by the situation that is happening. Hey. Why are you stopping? Albeda's shout was heard from the side of the boat. Issei went to where she was, since Makita was there since she wanted to rest for a while and had just woken up from her nap. In that. Whoosh. A huge structure emerged from the sea. It was circular, like a ball. Made of metal, it was a submarine, or rather, a ship that submerges, since it has a mast on the tip, and that was where the jester was standing. What the heck? Makita lost sleep when she saw that. And not just her, everyone was surprised. In the end, the enormous ship that far surpassed the Mary and Issei's ship completely emerged. Everyone saw the huge ship, and a shrill voice was heard shortly after. Mwahaha. Surprised by my giant surprise submarine attack ship, the Blacking, said that annoying voice from the bow of the ship. What's all the fuss about? Issei asked as he left Nami's room only to be pointed at by a gun. Ha, I figured it, he said. 3 men and 4 girls, said a fat guy with blue hair and an iron jaw. The guy was eating a sword. Anyway, do you have any log pose or eternal pose that is aimed at the Drum Kingdom? He asked calmly. No, and even if we had it, why give it to you? Issei asked, crossing his arms. Oh, you smart guy. Anyway, if you don't have it then I'll keep your ship, the treasures and the women, said the guy with a nasty smile directed at the girls who got upset. Why don't we do this instead? Issei said, drawing attention. You and your cats go away and leave us alone, or I'll deflate you and sink your ship, he said with an indifferent look. Hey, don't talk to Wa like that. The guy pointing a gun at Issei would shout, but the brown-haired boy knocked him unconscious with a blow. The rest of the guys pointed at Issei, neglecting those they were aiming at. A serious mistake. Sandy landed a powerful kick to one of them in the chest, sending him into the ICC. Zora used her swords to cut the weapons and cut the men who fell screaming in pain. Jin punched 3 others in the jaws, who didn't have time to react. And Makita jumped to fall on another who was left unconscious and with some broken bones. The fat man was surprised, even scared. What's going on? said Vivi coming out of Nami's room just seeing what happened. She searched for answers and just looked at Issei approaching the fat man who was backing away in fear. Wapple, said a doubtful Vivi. Do you know him? Asked Sandy, who was the closest. Yes, he is a prince of the Drum Kingdom, although I didn't expect to see him here, said Vivi. Issei approached the fat man. Hey, don't try anything. I'm royalty. If you do anything to me I'll. But Issei didn't let him finish when he grabbed him by the face. I don't give a damn if you're the king of the world, said Issei, now gathering all his strength in his arm, which left with its muscles swelling to the point of having veins and some red scales. Sandy couldn't help but bite her lip when she saw that muscular arm. Issei with all his strength threw Wapple better as if he were a ball. Why. And the fat man disappeared into the distance. Wapple Sama, shouted his subordinates who would immediately go to the ship. They're getting away, shouted Usopp. Issei waited for them to get on his ship, and when they were about to sink, he approached a cannonball that was next to a pile of them. Bam. Issei threw it with force, opening a huge hole from one side of the ship to the other. And the worst thing was that it was halfway to sinking. Fuck. Was the only thing Jin said seeing that. Well, let's move on, Issei said, wiping his hands. Ice Kyan. That was fabulous. And Sandy, being herself, began to spin around Issei with her eyes turned into hearts. Why am I not surprised? Zora said, sitting down where she was before. Vivi was impressed, she didn't expect to see such a display of power. Although she has never seen what the true monsters of this world are like. I'll go see Nami, Issei said, going to Nami's room. Sandy followed him closely to see what he would need. What happened? Asked Alvida, who boarded the ship after hooking Issei's little boat behind the Mary. Nothing important, just some idiots bothering, but Issei sent his boss flying and sank his ship, said Makita, giving a quick summary of what happened. Oh, I see, said Alvida. In the end they continued their journey, with the brown-haired boy spending time awake again taking care of Nami, although he had to use the transportation circle to go to Lowtown to buy some medicine at a well-stocked pharmacy. And also Kakeashi Village, Najiko House and Nami. What do you mean Nami is in mortal danger? Was Najiko's hysterical cry upon hearing what the brown-haired boy told her. I'm sorry, we didn't realize when she was affected, it was too late, and I think what made her sick was in Little Garden, said Issei. Take me to her. I have to take care of her, said Najiko, taking Issei by the shoulders. That's why I came, I really didn't want to show this ability to others, but you have the right to see Nami, said Issei. Then wait for me, I'll go prepare some things, said Najiko, entering the house. Issei sat on the porch waiting, watching the sunset, since it was daytime here, well where they were it was nighttime. Let's go, said Najiko with a backpack and a bucket of tangerines in her hand. Come here, Issei said, and she stood next to him. He then created a magic circle and they were transported to the Mary. Going Mary. Issei and Najiko appeared on the bow of the Mary, with Issei taking the woman to where Nami was. As soon as she entered the room, Najiko rushed to Nami, who was obviously suffering from the faces she was making. Nami, Najiko said, totally worried as she knelt next to the orange-haired girl's bed. Issei watched everything from afar, left and headed to the kitchen. He would prepare something for Najiko. I prepare something she knows how to make, then I make a glass of tangerine juice and go back to the room. I watch as Najiko changes the wet cloth on her little sister's forehead. Issei walked over, leaving the food on the nightstand, and looked at Nami. We will cure her, I swear, said Issei. Are you really going to do it? Najiko asked. Yes, Issei said confidently. Thank you, Najiko said, smiling. Ugh. Nami moaned as she slightly opened her eyes, drawing both of their attention. No, Najiko, she said, somewhat surprised to see her sister there, although she attributed that to a possible hallucination. Yes, it's me, Nami, said Najiko, smiling at her sister. I'll leave you with her, call me if you have to come back, I'll be sitting outside, Issei said as he left. I let the woman take care of her sister, she just hopes the other girls don't get upset seeing her there. But Vivi, because she doesn't know Najiko. He left the room and sat down in a chair near the mast. I look at the cloudy sky, the cold is felt, and it is possibly because they are approaching a snowy island. I hope that famous doctor is good, I don't think I'll have the face to see Najiko if Nami dies, said Issei. 2 hours later. Ice. Najiko called the brown-haired boy who was looking at the sky. Take me home, she said. Really? If you want, you can stay, Issei said. No, I know Nami will be fine, but if something happens I want you to let me know immediately, said Najiko. I understand, then let's go, Issei said, creating the magic circle. They were transported to Kakeashi, in front of the two girls' house. When Nami recovers, I'll take you to see her, said Issei. Yes, thank you for taking care of her, Najiko said, smiling. Issei was about to leave when he was grabbed by the collar of his shirt by Najiko, who gave him a kiss, a French one. Issei stood still in shock, and Najiko took advantage of that to deepen her kiss by hugging the brunette. She then pulled away, smiling in amusement at the sight of a brunette in shock. "That's for taking care of Nami and worrying about her, save her and I'll give you something better," said Najiko with a flirtatious smile, going home with a sensual sway of her hips. Issei just looked at her dumbfounded, he didn't know what to say. "Ha, I really like that girl," said Drake, making fun of Issei. The brown-haired boy didn't say anything and simply walked away. The next day. The group was on the bow, wearing coats for the cold. "So this is Drum," said Luna looking at the place. "Great, Snow," she said smiling happily. The group arrived at Drum without complications. "Is this the doctor you heard about here?" Makita asked the brown-haired boy while standing with Alvida on his ship. "According to what I heard, yes, and I hope he's still here," Issei said somewhat nervously. The ships moved forward into the island's channel, hoping to find people. But pirates don't move. People came out from both sides of the canal carrying firearms. "I have a bad feeling about this," Jin commented. "Not just you," said Usopp, getting nervous. Among them all, a man with a strong body and a serious demeanor stood out. "We just came to look for a doctor," said Luna. "We have a sick person," Vivi shouted. "Get out," shouted a citizen. "We will not fall for that lie," shouted another. "This is our country and we will not give it to anyone," shouted a woman. "It seems that they hate us and we've barely arrived," Sandy commented. "Shut up," shouted one of the citizens. "Shooting at her." "Hey," the blonde shouted, but Issei took the bullet with his hand. "Hey, that's going too far, we haven't done anything to you to be treated like that," Issei said seriously. "Go away, get out," was the only thing the villagers said. Issei sighed, this is stressful, he really understands the fear of pirates, and it is normal for them to act like this, but he has Nami with a deadly disease, and he cannot afford to waste time. "Shut up the fuck up," Issei shouted, releasing a wave of energy that made all the villagers, including the burly man, fall to their knees and get scared. "Our friend is sick, she could die, we are looking for Dr. Kariha to help us treat her illness, after that we will leave and leave you alone," he shouted with clear anger. The villagers were scared, they don't know what hit them, but they felt terror. "Ice, calm down, you won't achieve anything like this," said Vivi, fearing that they wouldn't be helped. But of all of them, the burly man stood up and looked at the brown-haired man. "Are you really looking for that old hag?" the man asked. "Yes, our friend contracted an illness in Little Garden, and I heard that she is the best doctor you can find," said Issei. The man was silent and then nodded. "Fine, we will take them to our village," said the man seriously. "Thank you," Issei said, sighing to go to Nami's room and prepare to take her with them. They all did the same, and the villagers decided to trust the man. Issei wrapped Nami in several blankets, leaving her face free. He took her in his arms and looked at her. "Don't worry, we'll cure you," said Issei. She opened her eyes slightly, looking at Issei's face and then closing them. And so the arrival at Drum was successful. Time later. The group made their way through the snow, guided by the man who introduced himself as Dalton, and the villagers who accompanied him. Only Zora and Karu stayed in the Mary, the former having decided to train for a while. They arrived at a town where they live, the Bighorn town. Dalton took them home to chat, while Luna and Usopp stayed outside to make snow sculptures. "So they're coming to find that witch," said Dalton, who was lighting wood in the fireplace in his house. "Yes, according to Ice, she is the only one capable of curing Nami," said Vivi. Dalton looked at her, his eyes narrowed in confusion. "What's wrong?" she asked, somewhat nervous. "I have a feeling I know you from somewhere," Dalton said. "Huh? I don't think so," Vivi said, somewhat nervous. I understand, anyway, your friend is burning up, a temperature that exceeds 40 degrees," said Dalton, since they had previously measured Nami's temperature and it was an alarming fever. "That's why we have to find her, if we continue like this she could die," Issei said seriously. "And the problem is that we don't even know what kind of disease she contracted," said Jin with his arms crossed. "Do you know where this Kariha is?" asked Alvida. "Do you see those mountains over there?" Dalton asked, pointing to some mountains visible through the window of his house. "Those tall?" asked Sandy, who was smoking. "Yes, those are called the Drum Mountains. If you look closely, on the largest one you can see a castle without a king," said Dalton. "What's with that castle?" Issei asked. "That's where she is, the one everyone calls a witch, Dr. Kariha," said Dalton. "Do you have any way to call her here?" Jin asked. "No, there is no way to communicate with her," said Dalton. "And she's supposed to be a doctor," Sandy said, frowning. "I have no doubt about that, although she is somewhat strange, I mean, she is almost 140 years old," Dalton said, surprising everyone except Issei. "Minus 140 years," Mikita said without believing it. How is it possible that he is still alive? Alvita asked. So how do they deal with injured or sick people anyway? Vivi asked. She usually comes down whenever she wants, attends to whoever needs attending to, takes whatever she wants from the homes of those she helps and leaves. Dalton said. She looks like an evil old woman, said Issei, who had recently come in with Luna to have some hot chocolate. Yes, she looks like a pirate, said Luna. And how do you get down from that mountain? Vivi asked. Well, I've heard rumors that she comes down on a sleigh during the full moon, and several other people have seen her fly down from the sky, which is why she's nicknamed a witch, said Dalton. In addition, people say that she always comes with a beast, one never seen before, he said. Issei was frightened, shouting something about an abominable snowman. So, to sum up, the only way for me to take care of Nami is to either wait for her to come down from that mountain or go to her, right? Issei said, standing up, drawing everyone's attention. Yeah, basically. Dalton said confused. I understand, said Issei approaching where they have Nami, which is Dalton's bed. I'll borrow these sheets, he said, taking Nami rolled up in the sheets. What are you trying to do? Dalton asked. It's simple, I'll go to that castle, Issei said as he started to leave the house. Dalton was surprised, he didn't expect that. That's right, the only one who can go to that mountain without any problems is Ice-kun, said Sandy. True, but doesn't the cold weather affect your flight? Mikita asked. No, I could easily fly inside a typhoon, so this weather is no problem for me, Issei said calmly, leaving Dalton's house. Fly? Are you an Akuma no Mi user? Dalton asked. Yes, he has his own type fruit, thanks to that he can fly, said Sandy smiling proudly. Wow, Dalton said. Hey, I want to go with you, said Luna, climbing on Issei's back. Hey Brad, don't bother Ice. We're not here for your nonsense, Alvita shouted. True, Nami's life is in danger, said Sandy. Leave her alone, it doesn't bother me, besides I promised her, said Issei, taking out his dragon wings, leaving just enough space for Luna to ride on his back. He won't say it out loud, but Luna's front part is well developed, and it's now that he notices it. So, let's go. And with that he flapped his wings, rising several meters. Woohoo. And Luna could only have fun sticking her breasts against the back of Issei's neck. Issei remained silent. Taking advantage of the bug is his job. Luna, don't get attached to Ice-kun like that. And of course, Sandy was upset with jealousy. The trip was not uncomfortable, nor cold, thanks to the fact that she increased her body heat a little, so that both girls were comfortable. He goes slowly since any sudden increase in speed could affect Nami. Wow, everything looks small from up here, haha. Luna said, smiling while appreciating the landscape. The brown-haired boy didn't say anything, he was too focused on Luna to give Luna any thought. Luna noticed that, at first she was confused, but then she remembered Nami. Do you think they can cure her? Luna asked with clear concern in her voice. I hope so, Issei said. The journey took half an hour, and the two reached the top of the mountain and looked at Issei. Look, it's big, said Luna, seeing the great castle. Issei didn't say anything and walked towards the entrance of the castle. Luna followed closely behind him while looking around. When Issei was about to knock on the big doors, someone spoke. Wow, I didn't expect to have visitors at this point. An older woman's voice was heard coming from the left. Issei and Luna looked at the newcomer. An older woman in her face, but her body is no different from a young woman. A rare combination according to Issei. Next to her was a huge reindeer with a hat who looked at them seriously. Are you Dr. Kariha? Issei asked. Doctor, a term I haven't heard in a long time, and I see that you have someone who urgently needs help, said Kariha, looking at Nami, who coughed a little. Yes, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I heard about you from people outside of Drum. They told me that you are the best doctor around here, so I brought my friend to see if I could help her, said Issei, looking at the woman. I can, but do you have a way to pay for my services? Kariha asked. Yes, Issei said. Well, come with me, I'll heal your friend, said Kariha. Thank you, Issei said. Don't thank them yet, do it once everything is over, said Kariha, going to the door as the reindeer turned into a large humanoid and opened the large doors for everyone to enter. Awesome. And Luna couldn't help but be fascinated by that. In the end they followed the woman and the reindeer, human, she took them inside the castle, showing how big it was. It had many luxurious things, making it clear that a king once lived here. They walked up some stairs until they reached a corridor with many doors. It's the back room, leave it there while I prepare what's necessary, said Kariha, leaving in another direction. Understood. Issei obeyed the order and went with Luna to leave Nami at that place. Arriving at the room, leaving Luna behind, he went and arranged Nami on a bed that was there. He tucked her under the sheets and arranged her so she wouldn't be uncomfortable. Issei. Nami said, opening her eyes slightly and looking at the brunette. Don't worry, everything will be fine soon. Issei said, smiling while stroking her head. Nami simply looked at him for a few moments before closing her eyes again. Issei sighed and sat down next to her, taking a stool. Minutes passed and Kariha arrived with the reindeer, now in a humanoid form, carrying with her some boxes along with medical instruments. Okay, get out of here, I'll start healing your friend. Kariha said, and Issei left without problems. The woman closed the door and went about her business. Do you think I can really cure her? Asked Luna, sitting on the floor. Yeah, now why don't we go outside for a while? Issei said to his captain. Well, Luna said with an abnormal calm in her. So the two left, but not before taking a last look at the room where Kariha was healing Nami. 2 hours later. Issei was sitting outside the castle watching Luna making snow sculptures. The girl was having fun. Issei simply watched as she did that. He didn't say anything to her. He played with her for a while, throwing snowballs and making some sculptures. Hey. I hear someone talking to him. I looked to his left, seeing that little reindeer. Looking at him hidden. What's wrong? Issei asked. Doctorine, I'm done giving your friend the medicine. Said the reindeer. Oh, I see. Said Issei, getting up and starting to walk, alarming the reindeer. Hey buddy, calm down, I'm not going to do anything to you. He said. How do I know you're not lying? The reindeer asked distrustfully. Because it's the truth, so just take me to the doctor. Issei said. The reindeer stared at him and nodded. Come. Said the reindeer, and Issei followed him. On the way, Issei looked at the talking animal, not that it was strange for him, since he was basically also just one with a human appearance. Did you eat an Akuma no Mi? Issei asked. Huh? Yes. Said the reindeer. Oh, so that's why you talk and behave like a human, wow. Said Issei, somewhat surprised, because fruits are something that can really surprise him. Aren't you afraid of me? Asked a confused reindeer. Ha, more than scary, you give tenderness. Said Issei. Don't think that hearing something like that makes me happy, you idiot. Said the reindeer, smiling foolishly and clearly happy. Issei simply smiled in amusement. It was clear that the reindeer was like a child. Besides, it's not like I'm the one to judge anyone. Issei said, shrugging his shoulders. I mean, look. He said, taking out his wings, surprising the reindeer a lot. Why? He couldn't help but be half scared by the surprise, but then he calmed down. Wow, did you also eat a fruit? He asked. Yes. Said Issei, although his gaze was uncomfortable since he is not good at lying, even if it means saying yes or no. And you can fly? The little reindeer asked with a clear sense of fascination. Issei simply levitated a little while, gently flapping his wings. Great. Said the little reindeer with a huge smile and stars in his eyes. Issei descended and continued walking. What's your name, little one? Issei asked. Tony Chopper. Chopper introduced himself. Good name, my name is Haidu Issei. Issei said calmly. Have you been living with the doctor for a long time? He asked. Yes, it's been a few years now. Said Chopper, but his tone of voice had some sadness. And you like this medicine thing? Issei asked curiously. Yes, I have learned a lot from Doctorine. I want to be the best doctor of all and be able to cure all the diseases there are. Said Chopper with clear conviction. Wow, that's a big dream, to be the best doctor in the world. Said Issei. And you have a dream? Chopper asked. No, I don't have a dream. Issei said, surprising Chopper. Unless seeing my friend's dreams come true can be considered one, then yes I do. He said with a small smile. Chopper didn't say anything. He honestly didn't know what to say to that. Hey, don't leave me lying there. Luna shouted, jumping on Issei's back, wrapping her arms around Issei's shoulders and her legs around his waist. Wow. Chopper shouted in amazement, not expecting to see that kind of ability. But it's the tanuki. Said Luna. I'm not a tanuki, I'm a reindeer. Shouted Chopper angrily. Issei just laughed at that. Finally they arrived at the room where Nami was. Kariha was already waiting outside, leaning against the wall with her arms crossed. You're lucky, kids. He had a cure for the illness he had. Have you ever been to a prehistoric island? The woman asked. Little garden. Issei said with Luna still tied to him, literally. I see, well, she's asleep, so now speaking of payment, what can you offer? Kariha asked. Doesn't he choose something he likes? Issei asked confused. That's with the people from the village. Said Kariha. Issei thought, and taking something out of his pocket, he took out something that caught the woman's attention. I can give you this. Said Issei, showing a glass bottle that has a red liquid. What is that? Kariha asked. This is a special medicine, it heals any wound immediately. Issei said. I don't know, do you think I'll fall for something like that? Kariha asked, not believing him. Issei took out Ascalon, surprising everyone because he didn't have it. Hold this. He said to Chopper, who took the jar. Then Issei did something that would surprise anyone. With Ascalon he cut off his left hand. "What are you doing?" Luna shouted with her eyes popping out. "Literally. He cut off his hand. Are you crazy?" Chopper shouted in horror. Issei crouches down to take his hand. "Open the jar," he said to Chopper, who accepted, somewhat terrified. "Now pour a little on each wound," he said, and the scared reindeer did so. At that, a light shone from each cut and Issei attached his severed hand to his wrist. "Kid, it's impossible that." Kariha was going to tell him that he was stupid when Issei managed to move his hand without problems, and by the way, there was no scar. "But what?" She was perplexed. "I already told you, it's miraculous," said Issei. "Although it only works with wounds," he said, taking out another bottle to offer it to Kariha. "That's too valuable for you to just give away like that," Kariha said. "It doesn't matter, here you are, you did a service, and as such you have to pay for it," said Issei. "But it was just a simple fever for me, give me something else," said Kariha. "Doctor, there is no price enough to pay for the well-being of a friend, so here you go," Issei said, giving the bottle to the woman, who sighed and took it. "As you wish, but don't cry when you're missing one," said Kariha, looking at the little bottle with little liquid. "Where did you get it, by the way?" she asked. "From my hometown, but they don't make them anymore, after all, it was destroyed," said Issei, walking towards the room where Nami was. Kariha remained silent next to the still perplexed Chopper. Luna and Issei walked in, they saw Nami lying on the bed. The brunette took her temperature, she was still hot, but not as much as before. "I hope he recovers soon," said Luna. "She will, that doctor is good," said Issei, knowing that for an illness like Nami's, one must be a great doctor. After a while they left, leaving Nami to rest. "It's the Tanuki," said Luna, seeing Chopper, who got scared and ran away. "Wait, come back, become my nakama," she shouted, chasing him. Issei simply watched her leave after Chopper, he sighed while smiling slightly. He walks towards the exit of the castle, running into Kariha. "I'll go tell the guys that Nami is recovering," said Issei. "Of course," was the only thing the doctor said while sitting in a chair. Issei left the castle, the cold wind hit his face, but he didn't care and walked to the edge where, looking down at the many kilometers to go down, he let himself fall before spreading his wings. With that he flew off towards the town where the boys are. The trip was not long, after a while he arrived. The only thing worth mentioning about the return was a group of monstrous rabbits that threw giant snowballs at him, but nothing else. Issei descended into the middle of the village, where he was immediately approached by Sandy. "Ice Kyan, welcome back, have some hot chocolate," said the smiling Sandy, approaching with a large cup of hot chocolate. "Thank you, Sandy-chan." Issei thanked her, smiling, making the blonde very happy. "And what happened?" Alvida asked. "Did Nami-san manage to heal?" Jin asked. "Yes, that doctor is good, she managed to cure her, and apparently it was a prehistoric disease, meaning, she contracted it in Little Garden," said Issei, letting out a sigh to drink some hot chocolate. "The important thing is that she's okay," Zora said calmly. "And Luna?" asked Usopp, not seeing the rubber girl. "She stayed playing in the snow," said Issei, downplaying it, he knows that the girl knows how to take care of herself. "How long do you think it will take him to recover?" Vivi asked. "We may be ready by tomorrow, so don't worry, everything will be resolved," said Issei, looking at the girl, who is obviously worried about her kingdom. "I understand," said Vivi, letting out a sigh, calming down. "Well, this was delicious," Issei said while drinking the hot chocolate. "How fast?" said Usopp, surprised. "Thank you," Issei said, giving the cup to Sandy and starting to walk away. "Huh? Where are you going?" Alvida asked. "I'm going back, I have to make sure Nami is 100% recovered, I promised Najiko I would look after Nami's well-being," said Issei, taking out his wings. "See you later." And with that the brown-haired boy flew away. "No, Ice-kun, take me with you," Sandy shouted. Inside she was boiling with jealousy that Nami was the object of Issei's concern. "Stop the nonsense, Iro-cook," said Zora, annoyed with the blonde's personality. "Shut up, you stupid tomboy," Sandy shouted angrily. "How did you call me, you damn pervert?" the green-haired girl roared angrily. The others saw that, shook their heads and walked away. Alvida stopped and looked at the brunette, who was walking away at a somewhat fast speed. She sighed, they will have time together later. Time later. Kariha Castle. Nami was awake, feeling better, so she sat up in bed looking out the window to her left. She remembers Issei carrying her, it was strange, Issei was someone bearable, she also noticed that he was distant even when he was with them. The truth is she liked that they cared about her, having true friends after several years of self-inflicted loneliness was something that almost took its toll on her, but since she joined Luna and her crew everything got better. Issei. He did a lot for her, even if he didn't want him to. He killed Arlong, destroyed that horrible place where she was locked up, and now he brought her to be cured of this disease that left her in danger of death. He smiled slightly. At that point she managed to hear murmurs approaching, someone was coming so she was attentive. But when they walked in, she wasn't prepared for the person who ran in to give her a big hug. "Oh, Nami, I'm so glad to hear that you're okay," Najiko said, wearing a coat to protect her from the cold. She went and, kneeling down, hugged her surprised sister. "Najiko? How?" Nami asked, only for her gaze to fall on Issei, who was watching everything from the entrance of the door. "Well, she was worried, so I brought her to see that you were better," said Issei without giving it much thought. Nami was surprised, she didn't expect that, and she didn't understand how it happened. "Thank you, Ice," Nami said with a smile. Issei nodded and left the room, leaving them alone. "That boy is unique," Najiko commented. "You like him?" Nami said. "Yes," Najiko said with a smile. "It's weird, I never expected you to like someone," Nami said. "Well, it's hard to find a good man these days, and even worse after how Arlong had us on the island," Najiko said, sighing. "It was lucky you found Ice," Nami said. "Yes, a blessing, and I'm glad I helped you," Najiko said, smiling. "You'll have it hard, you're not the only one who's crazy about him," Nami said. "I imagine, he may not be the most handsome, but he makes up for it with his personality, and I have no doubt that you will fall in love with him too, haha," said Najiko jokingly. Nami blushed slightly. "Don't talk nonsense," Nami said, embarrassed. "Yes, I'm glad to see you're cured anyway, I was distressed when Ice told me and showed me how you were," said Najiko. "And how did he bring you here anyway?" Nami asked. "It's something strange that I don't quite understand, but apparently he can create those circles that teleport him," said Najiko. This impressed Nami, and after thinking for a while, "That means..." "Wow," Nami said, discovering something. "What happened?" Najiko asked. "No, nothing, anyway thanks for being here, I'm glad to have you around, and now I know that with Ice I could go to the island if I wanted to," said Nami happily. "Yes, I thought I wouldn't see you again until many years later, but it seems Ice avoided that," Najiko said, smiling. And so the two of them chatted alone. Issei was outside the castle, sitting on the edge of the peak looking out over the village of Drum. He thought about the things that have happened in such a short time. If he was honest with himself, he was still sad, but he didn't want to show it to his new friends. "Ice." And a wild moon appeared, jumping on his back. "Luna." Issei shouted in surprise since they almost fell, although that wouldn't be a problem. "Look, I want Chopper to join my crew," said Luna. "And you asked him?" Issei asked. "Yes, and he doesn't want to," Luna said with a pitiful face. "Well, he must have a reason," said Issei. "But I want him to be with us," said Luna. "Ha, Luna. Come here," Issei said, patting the spot next to him. She went and sat down. "Listen, there will be times where you want to add someone to the crew, but that person won't join for some reason. Chopper may have some compelling reason for not joining," Issei said calmly. "You're right," said Luna, sighing discouragedly. In the end, she doesn't want to force anyone to join her crew. "Although if I'm honest, it would be great to have someone like him. I think he knows medicine after being with Dr. Kariha. It could be beneficial for us to have a doctor," said Issei. "Yes, the old lady said the Chopper is a great doctor. That's why she wanted him to join us too," said Luna, smiling. Issei smiled, he liked Luna's enthusiasm. If only he would be like that again. Without further ado, he caressed the girl's head, who looked at him confused. "So if that's the case, he'd be a good addition to the group," Issei said. "Yes, I'll go recruit him right now," said Luna, jumping from her spot and then running into the castle. Issei watched her leave and shook his head, amused. Who would have thought, the kind pervert giving encouragement? Drake would say, amused. "Shut up," Issei said with a smile. Issei stayed there, calmly watching the horizon. He was always curious about the climate of each island. Tropical islands, snowy islands like this one, desert islands, rainy islands, and prehistoric ones like Little Garden. It's an interesting experience to travel in this world, even though it only focused on the first part of the Grand Line. "A berry for your thoughts," said Najiko's voice behind Issei. "I just appreciate the snowy landscape," Issei said. The aforementioned girl sat on the ground next to Issei, watching the scenery. "It's an interesting sight, I never thought I'd see snow in my life," said Najiko. "I imagine so, from what I heard, the East Blue does not have more than 2 types of stations," Issei said. "Yes, a long summer and only cold when winter comes," said Najiko. "Thanks for saving Nami," she said, resting her head on Issei's shoulder. "I just did the right thing, I couldn't let her die, she wouldn't forgive me," said Issei. "And for that I thank you," Najiko said with a smile. She is also grateful, although she is somewhat shy to sincerely express that kind of gratitude, so be patient with her," she said, smiling. "Haha." Issei could only laugh a little. "I knew you would take care of her, I always trusted you," said Najiko, smiling. "Thank you for trusting me," said Issei. The two then stood in silence watching the scene, unaware of the fuss Luna was making to get Chopper to join her crew. Shortly after. You really recovered quickly, said Issei. Seeing Nami with a healthier appearance. The doctor really knows what she's doing, Nijiko said. Don't be too confident, brats, he still needs to rest, he can't push himself too hard and he still needs medicine for 2 weeks, said Kariha, who was sitting in a chair drinking liquor. How much for the doses? Issei asked. -10,000 berries, said Kariha. How expensive? Nami shouted. Here you go. Issei said, taking out a bag with the exact amount. But don't just give out the money like that, Nami said. It's a small price to pay for your well-being, Issei said simply. Nami fell silent under Nijiko's amused gaze. Hahaha, you do have a very good boyfriend, look at him spending money so easily, Kariha said amused. He's not our boyfriend, Nami complained blushing. That's how he is and that's why I love him, said Nijiko without any shame. Nijiko. Nami was blushing after hearing her sister say that. Issei simply blushed in embarrassment at what that doctor said. Anyway, I'll leave you two alone, I'm going to prepare more of that medicine, said Kariha, stopping before leaving and looking at them with a frown. Don't do any dirty things here, it's a medical room, not a motel. And with that she left. That old woman, Nami said, annoyed and blushing. Hahaha, it's funny, Nijiko said. And you? How come you wanted? Nami demanded to know. Simple, I like ice, that simple, little sister, said Nijiko without giving it much importance. Are you guys couple? Nami asked. No, I know she likes me, but she knows I'm not ready for a relationship, Issei said, intervening. Nami looked at him suspiciously. You know he has Alvida and Sandy behind him, right? Nami said, looking at her sister. I know, but that's not a problem, even we women have competition to win a man's heart, said Nijiko. Nami looked at her sister and sighed, she never expected her to fall in love with Issei, and it's not that it's bad, I just never expected to know that her sister would ever have a relationship since no one in the village caught her attention. If you hurt Nijiko's heart, I'll break your balls, said Nami looking annoyed at Issei. I would never hurt any girl's heart, Issei said, raising his hands. At that Luna entered smiling. Yes, I did it, she shouted as she jumped onto Issei's back, wrapping her legs around his torso. What did you do? Nami asked. I made that reindeer become our nakama, said Luna, smiling happily. How did you do it? Nami asked, confused. I just chazzed him until he was tired and accepted, said Luna, smiling. Luna. What did I tell you? Issei asked. Don't force him, I kept asking him until I got his answer, Luna said, smiling. Issei sighed, this girl did what she wanted. You are quite a case, Issei said, amused. Whatever. We have a new nakama, Luna shouted excitedly. Issei, Nami and Nijiko watched that with wry smiles, as in the end, Luna did it her way. Now I'll go tell the others about this, so take me with you, Luna said, jumping onto Issei's shoulders and wrapping herself around him. Hey, calm down, said Issei. Anyway, let's wait for the doctor to come back with the medicine and then we'll leave, he said calmly. True, we still have to go to Arabasta for what Vivi asked us to do, Nami said. I still can't believe they're going to get into a big problem like preventing a coup d'etat, said Nijiko. Neither do I, but that's the life we're given, Issei said, shrugging. Ice, let's tell the others, said Luna, moving still attached to Issei. Yes, said Issei, getting up effortlessly with Luna tied to his back. See you later, he said, walking away. The brown-haired boy walked away with an animated Luna, who said happily that they now had a doctor with them. Do you really like him? Nami asked her sister. Didn't I tell you already? I like him, he's a great guy, said Nijiko. Even if he has girls after him? Nami asked. There must be a reason he has them behind him, said Nijiko. Amused. You're going to end up hurt, I think Alvida is closer to him than you, Nami said, sighing. I don't think so, said Nijiko. Besides, don't act like it, I saw how embarrassed you were when the doctor said that we were his girlfriends, and then he said that there is no money that can match your well-being, she said, amused. Nami glared at her. Hey little sister, you're going to end up falling in love somehow, just don't run away from that feeling, said Nijiko. I don't understand how you can say that so calmly, said Nami. Well, if it comes to that, I wouldn't mind sharing it, I think Ice could handle several girls at once, Nijiko said calmly. Nami looked at her with a WTF face when she heard her say that. So don't worry, if you like him, get close to him and win his heart, said Nijiko. I won't do it, Nami said with a flat face, making Nijiko laugh. You guys are weird, it's normal to see men with more than one woman, especially if they're pirates, said Kariha, entering the room. Is this really normal? Nami asked. Little girl, it's not only nobles who have several wives, so don't worry, and if you like the brat, just go with him and that's it, said Kariha, not giving it any importance. Now take this, there are doses for 10 days, you have to take them every 4 hours. She said, passing Nami some bottles with a reddish liquid. Although more than interested in medicine, Nami and Najiko did not expect at the idea that a pirate can have more women if he wants to be normal. Although Najiko smiled amusedly. Perverts. Said Nami. No way, that's life. Said Kariha, leaving the room, leaving the sisters alone. Whatever, take your medicine at the indicated time and you will be completely cured. She said, walking away. So, are we going? Najiko asked. Of course. Said Nami, standing up. It was obvious that the orange-haired girl wouldn't remain bedridden for long. The two of them slipped away, and when they reached the entrance they noticed not only Issei and Luna, but also Usopp and Sandy. Although the latter was glued to Issei. Are we going? Issei asks. Yes. Nami said. By the way, what about that new member Luna told us about? Usopp asked curiously. Well, I don't know, he must be getting ready. Said Nami, since she didn't see Chopper on his way here. Well, he must be saying goodbye to the doctor. Said Issei. In that. Let's go. Said Chopper in a larger form, running at high speed and pulling a sled. Come back here, you ungrateful brat. And Kariha came completely furious behind him. What? Usopp was surprised to see Chopper. Chopper loaded them all onto the sleigh and took them down the big curb, all the while shedding tears. Issei didn't say anything, maybe that's how they say goodbye, although looking back he could see Kariha smiling with tears in her eyes. I'll miss you. Issei said to Chopper. The little one didn't say anything, but he knows that what Issei says is true. He will miss Doctorine too. Shortly after. Bighorn Town. Whoa. That's so cool. Said Usopp, watching Chopper change from his reindeer form to his big form and then back to his small version. Don't think that your flattery makes me happy, you idiot. Said Chopper, blushing and doing a very strange little dance. At least with this we have a doctor with us. Jin commented. By the way, Chopper, when you have time check each of us, well, them, in case they have any discomfort or injury that needs to be treated. Said Issei. Of course, I'll do my best to make sure they're in optimal condition. Chopper said decisively. How nice, we will be in your care, Chopper-kun. Said Sandy, smiling at the reindeer. Well, I think it's time for us to go. Nami said. Yes, we have to get to Arabasta quickly. Said Vivi. Okay, let's go. Said Luna, starting to walk. Everyone started to leave, with the brown-haired boy staying behind when Dalton called him. Did you really finish off Wapol and his people? Dalton asked. I'm 98% sure, I sank his ship and sent the Scrapjaw flying. Said Issei, remembering the clown that was eating the Mary. Dalton looked down. Issei thought it was important for Dalton, but a sigh of relief changed his thoughts. Thank you, Wapol was the ruin of the entire kingdom, now knowing that he will never return, he will leave the inhabitants of the island alone. Said Dalton, smiling. It's good to know that, at least I know I did well by sending that fat man flying. Issei said, smiling. In the end the brown-haired boy walked away, leaving Dalton to go and give the good news to everyone. I unknowingly saved people from a tyrant idiot. On the Mary. Take care, little sister. Said Najiko, hugging Nami. I will. Nami said, smiling. They parted ways, and Najiko went to Issei, who was already ready to take her to Kakeashi. I'm still amazed at how Ice managed to bring her to the Mary so quickly, Usopp said. Do you want me to bring your girlfriend? Zora asked mockingly. Hey, don't say things like that. Said Usopp, blushing. Does Usopp have a girlfriend too? Chopper asked curiously. Oh, yes, of course she does. Zora said, amused. She's not my girlfriend. Said Usopp, embarrassed. Repeat it until you believe it. Said Zora. Well, elsewhere. Grrr, I don't know why, but Najiko-san doesn't give me a good feeling when she's near Ice-kun. Said Sandy with jealousy in her voice. Yes, I feel that too. Said Alvita, seeing Najiko very close to the brown-haired boy. Well, we're leaving. Said Issei, taking Najiko as a princess under the annoyed gaze of two girls. Take her carefully. Nami said. Issei nodded and took out his wings. See you later, everyone, take care and good luck solving the princess's problem. Said Najiko, saying goodbye to everyone. See you next time, Najiko. Luna said with her usual smile. Thus the couple disappeared into the sky, leaving the crew ready to leave the island. A few miles away from the group, Issei used a magic circle that took them to the aerial terrain of the island. Issei went down to Najiko's house where the brown-haired boy left the aforementioned. It's good that Nami is okay now. Najiko said with a smile. Yes, at least the doctor had the cure for that disease. Issei said calmly. Najiko looked at him with a smile and without saying anything she approached to give him a kiss. Issei was once again taken by surprise. The girl gave him a deep kiss, one that Issei eventually returned by hugging her around the waist. To which she wrapped her arms around the brunette's neck to make the grip firmer. They kissed for a while, but in the end they moved their faces away without breaking the mutual embrace they have. "Thank you for always looking out for Nami," Nijiko said with a sweet smile. "I promised, and as such, I will keep my promise until the end," said Issei. I know that the boy I fell in love with will keep his promise," Nijiko said, smiling. Issei didn't say anything, he still doesn't understand what she likes about him. "I still see doubts in your eyes," Nijiko said, sighing and separating from Issei. "Don't you think I like you?" she asked, looking into his eyes. Issei looked her straight in the eyes. "Yes. But this has an explanation, one that I think you deserve to know at this point," he said. "Come on, let's go inside," Nijiko said, taking Issei's hand, and the brunette led her. The two entered the house, going straight to the table in the kitchen, where Issei took a seat. Nijiko, without saying anything, began to make a tangerine juice while the brunette was silently watching her. "Then you will tell him," said Drake to the brown-haired boy. "Yes, she deserves to know," said Issei. "It's reasonable, although it expects even the worst reaction," said Drake. "Yes, after all, I don't expect you to understand that I had several girlfriends," said Issei, remembering Ria's and the others. "Even if she accepts everything about you, even your story, then you already have the first of many girls, ha, said Drake, finding grace in everything. Issei didn't say anything, but he thought that Drake was sometimes not serious. Nijiko finished preparing the juice and poured 2 glasses for herself and Issei. He sat down in front of Issei, who took a sip. "That's good," Issei said. "Thank you, that's how mom did it, and thank goodness I was able to learn how she did it," said Nijiko with a smile. They remained silent, a silence that was broken by the brown-haired boy, who sighed again. "Well, I'll tell you everything. Starting with the fact that I'm not from this world," said Issei, shocking Nijiko. "Are you serious about what you say?" Nijiko asked. "Yes, very true," said Issei, using magic to create a projection of what his world was. "This was my world, a world with more land than this one, with different nations, people, languages and stories," he said, showing images of various people of different ethnicities. Obviously there were many problems, from the most common like criminals to others that even with time do not go away like racism, but in itself, it is a totally different place from this one," he said, looking at the surprised Nijiko. "Wow, I never expected to see a place like this," Nijiko said, surprised. She never imagined seeing a planet with so many large pieces of land, even though there was a lot of water. "Well, my story begins here," said Issei, showing Japan from space. Japan, a country with a very traditionalist culture and several problems that are part of everyday life, he said, remembering what his country was like. Then he showed Kuo from the sky. "And that's where I was born, Kuo, a small town a few kilometers from the country's capital, and where my story begins, which by the way, is long," he said. Nijiko watched as Issei showed a young brown-haired boy with brown eyes, with a slimmer body, who was calmly walking wearing a uniform and carrying a backpack. "Hi to Issei, only son, age 17, high school student, and whose only concerns were having a girlfriend to take his virginity," said Issei, telling the whole truth because that was what he wanted, although he also wanted a high school romance. "And that's how my story begins," he said. Issei began to tell his story, what Kuo Academy was like, the perverted beast and his misdeeds, how he was hated by 99% of the girls at the academy. Nijiko didn't believe that Issei, the one who made her fall in love with his way of being, was a horny brat obsessed with breasts. Nijiko listened to everything, the story of how an ordinary young man found himself in a completely different world. The worst thing was that it was a world that made his own seem like a minor problem. Mythological beings, gods, dragons. Nijiko looked at Issei, who despite saying that he was a perverted lover of breasts and that he managed to become strong because of them, was a boy who fought with everything he could and still lost everything with no way to get it back. "And in the end I woke up in this place," said Issei, sighing. "That's why I don't feel ready, I don't think I can feel ready yet," he said, looking at Nijiko, bringing his hand closer to take hers. "You are a beautiful woman, with good feelings, but I don't want to give you false illusions, and for you to stop your love for someone who is still damaged," he said, smiling sadly. Nijiko looked at him, she saw that look that hides pain and loss. Issei was broken, he just didn't let it show. Nijiko let go of Issei's hand, as he thought this was the end. But she stood up from her seat, then went to him and hugged him. Issei was surprised. "I know how it feels to lose someone important to you, it hurts, you think that nothing is worth it, but unlike you, I had Nami to help me cope with the loss of Belmir," Nijiko said with a sad smile. "You lost everything, you are alone, you have no family and no one to comfort you. Like you want them to, but..." She made Issei look at her. "Would you let me be that person?" she asked. Issei looked at her in surprise, and without realizing it, he began to shed tears. Issei began to cry, clinging to Nijiko, who comforted him. Drake from inside the boosted gear smiled lightly. That's it guys. That was the full stuff. Until the author add more chapters. Take care.